All right, bro. All right, yo. It's episode 3. Episode 3 of this nasty saga. This nasty ass saga. It's another bada boom bada bing, and it's another Diddy bada boom bada bing. I'm pretty glad that we have one more after this because I don't know if I could take any more of this shit. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's getting a little crazy, but I'll finish this and we can be done with this. Curse this nigga out. Curse all the nasty people out in this thing. Just get our anger out. And I hope you guys are taking care of yourself. Y'all, this is episode 3. This says 13 deaths around Diddy. 9 victims of City College incident. Tupac and Biggie, Kim Porter, and more. So, let's get straight into it. It's 2 hours and 11 minutes. So, let's go.
Bada bing, bada boom.
May 7th, 2012. Machine Gun Kelly.
Well, first off, I hope Machine Gun Kelly. God dang. Well, first off, I hope Stephanie and her husband and you guys are not too much affected by this.
Makes a tweet. That tweet reads, okay, so I just saw a picture of Eminem's daughter, and I have to say, she is hot as in the most respectful way possible because Eminem is king. The problem with this tweet at that point in 2012 is that Eminem's daughter would have been 16 years old at the time.
Oh.
And then nothing happened from this tweet. For about 5 years, nothing happened. There were no repercussions. There were these little whispers and interviews that MGK does that allude to the idea that perhaps Eminem was unhappy with that tweet. And perhaps Eminem
Ain't this shit sparked that whole beef?
was trying to blackball him from the industry because of that tweet.
What did you say about his daughter that got him so mad?
Yes.
What did you say?
You know what I said.
That she's hot.
She's hot.
You have to admit you was out of line for that.
These are just
Why did
internet
he say that,
rumors.
though?
These are celebrity gossip.
Freaky ass
It's not
nigga.
until 2018 that it gets confirmed.
Oh.
These two do not like each other. In 2018, Machine Gun Kelly drops a song called Rap Devil.
I'm not even gonna hold you. I was not aware of the words that he said about her. I didn't know her age. I just thought this rap beef was very interesting because that nigga MGK had to rap his complete ass off. A lot of people be having audacity in this world, bro. This shit says Eminem diss world star hip hop. Oh my goodness.
Now, this is very interesting because it's a play on words. If you guys know anything about Eminem's discography, one of his most famous, well-known songs, it's called Rap God.
Which is
so
crazy.
for Machine Gun Kelly to drop Rap Devil,
Which is fucking crazy because how is Rap God is that's crazy. You would think my name is you know what?
it's clearly a hit on Eminem. Once you read the lyrics, it gets even crazier. And these two start dropping diss tracks against each other. And we're not here to talk about MGK and Eminem. It's just that as they're releasing these diss tracks, there is one name that keeps popping up in all their songs.
What you mean?
Diddy.
Oh my gosh.
Sean Diddy Combs.
What is neck look
In
like
Rap
that?
Devil, MGK raps about how he signed with Bad Boy Records. And the lyrics read, why are you claiming that I'm going to call Puff when you're the one that called Diddy? Then you went and called Jimmy. Jimmy is a guy that runs Interscope Records,
Jimmy
which
Iovine?
MGK is also part of.
Oh.
They conferenced me in the morning and they told me that you was mad about a tweet. You wanted me to say sorry? I swear to God, I didn't even believe him. Please say it's not so. The big bad bully of the rap game can't take a fucking joke.
Nigga called out
He's
Jimmy
basically
Iovine on his
saying,
ass.
hello world, Eminem was so mad for the past 6 years, so mad about this tweet from 6 years ago that he called both my record label bosses, Diddy, who owns Bad Boy Records, and Jimmy, who owns Interscope Records, to bitch about it.
Hey, you gotta. This is the same person who was talking about Mariah Carey. Like, oh, hey man. Shit.
But that's crazy because he's the big bad wolf that can do anything, right? So he can do anything but take a joke? To which Eminem releases a diss track titled Kill Shot, where he makes many disses towards MGK, but again, we're not here to discuss that. We're here for Diddy. He makes a reference for Diddy in that song as well.
Oh.
The lyrics read, but Kels, the day you put out a hit is the day Diddy admits that he put the hit out that got Pac killed.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Eminem, in his song, whether he is serious or it's just creative liberty, he has just now accused Diddy of murder. But at the end of the song, Eminem says, and I'm just playing Diddy, you know I love you.
What?
Diddy never made a public statement about Eminem's lyrics, but sources that were close to Diddy said he was furious.
I bet he fucking was. And then this Keefy D shit, boy. Niggas, I don't remember that being said. Shit. Do y'all think he did that? We're gonna find out today.
He's pissed off.
Come on.
So what the hell does this all mean? If he's not joking, that means Eminem truly just accused Diddy of killing one of the biggest names in the rap world, Tupac. But that was in 2018. Nobody was focusing on Diddy. Nobody was focusing on these lyrics. They were so caught up in the diss tracks between MGK and Eminem, and the fact that Killshot was one of the most viewed videos within 24 hours of releasing.
Fuck.
Some people picked up on it. They thought it was clever. But again, it doesn't make mainstream news like that until 2024. This year, Eminem releases yet another song called Fuel.
I heard this.
And this time, it's in your face. The lyrics read, I'm like an RAPER, got so many essays. Wait, he didn't just spell the word rapper
What?
and leave out a P, did he?
What?
Whoa.
Rest in peace, Biggie and Pac. Both of y'all should be living. But I ain't trying to beef with him because he might put a hit out on.
Cuz this nigga is crazy. That's why I'm like, bro, I wouldn't beef with this dude. Like, he just be like picking apart bars. Like he said, I'm like a RAPER. So many essays. Wait, he didn't just spell the word rapper. Leave out a P. Did he? Yup. Like, this is like, what the fuck? Oh my gosh.
Me, like Keefy D, get him.
Whoa,
He
when was
started
this?
tripping.
A few months ago.
I don't even remember
Now,
this.
in a 3.5-minute song,
But I
where
heard the
Eminem is
song.
rapping at an unhumanly fast speed, it might be hard to realize, especially if you don't know many of the people that he's referencing. I mean, the RAPER, that one is very obvious. He's calling P. Diddy a raper. But the next part, he's talking about two rappers that were murdered, Notorious B.I.G. and Tupac. They were both related to Diddy. One he saw as his main competitor, and the other one he saw as this money-making machine for his label. And within 6 months of each other, both of them were murdered.
Yup.
There are new allegations surfacing that Diddy might be responsible for both, which a lot of people find it very
Blown away
easy
is
to believe,
crazy.
considering that Diddy has a past of people dying around him. This is part 3 of the Diddy case, where we cover the 13 deaths closely linked to Diddy and all the supposed evidence there might be linking him to those murders.
That's crazy, bro. Niggas really have like I don't understand. Like, you got all these bodies on your jacket and you just moving around like everything is cool. If we talking about that club thing, well, I'm pretty sure we are, but yo, I haven't heard about that since like it's been I was like last year hearing about this shit.
Would like to thank today's sponsors who have
This
made it
is
possible
crazy.
for Rotten Mango to support the Arizona Anti-Trafficking Network. They work constantly to bring solutions to the illegal and human trafficking network in the States. This episode's partnerships have also made it possible to support Rotten Mango's growing team. We would also like to thank you guys for your continued support. As always, full show notes are available at rottenmangopodcast.com. Now, a big disclaimer on this case, it is currently ongoing and developing as we speak. There have been no court verdicts yet, so
I never asked, but is that background green screen? Or am I tripping? Cause I don't see a page move. I don't see her doing nothing, and like she probably got hella good cameras, so the depth of field is probably insane. But that'd be tough if she actually built this whole set. I don't know. I don't know. That's cool. Anyway, sorry.
So unfortunately, I must legally state that these are all the current allegations and accusations. People are innocent until proven guilty. Some statements have been shortened for time. And furthermore, all reporting for this episode is taken from the information that is already available online. Please form your own opinions and do your own research. I am not here to convince you of anyone's guilt or innocence. Some potentially triggering themes involve heavy use of illicit substances, including date, R-word drugs, DV, workplace and gang violence, essays, trafficking. This case is going to be very heavy. So in part 1, we did a deep dive on Diddy and Cassie's lawsuit, as well as the allegations of the freak-offs and the supposed Illuminati connection. In part 2, we did Diddy's yacht parties and the mysterious death of his ex-girlfriend and the mother of his children, Kim Porter, and the so-called memoir that was released on Amazon. This part, we will be talking about the 13 people that are mysteriously linked to Diddy that have died, including hip hop legends Tupac and Biggie. In part 4, we're going to go over current ongoing allegations, new
crazy
lawsuits,
picture.
and all the celebrities that have been listed on the so-called Diddy's list. So another quick disclaimer, I did not grow up in the Tupac Biggie era. I've listened to their songs before, and I know that these are two of the most influential artists to this day, and the significance that they played in the music industry, even posthumously. I mean, I know that much, but in terms of their upbringing, their beliefs in the world, I can only tell you from researching in hindsight. I did speak with people who have a deeper appreciation for the two artists, and I tried to include as much possible, but given the runtime of these pods and the fact that most of the conversation is still going to be centered around Diddy and the potential connection in their deaths, this is not going to cover their artistry, the way that they create.
I'm not even gonna hold you, bro. I saw the Notorious B.I.G. movie, and I was like, yo, Biggie seemed like he wasn't a good guy, bro. Like, some of his lyrics are, shit. Like, I'm not a listening to Biggie type person. I'm gonna be honest with you. Tupac, his story is his story is pretty, you know what I'm saying? Cause he from Baltimore, so it's like over here and stuff, and it's like, wow, it's very interesting seeing all this stuff like unfold and looking at all the hip hop mystery documentaries and the movies, and it's like, yo, if this nigga Diddy is really like behind all this stuff, and he was like in this shit, like that's crazy. That's crazy, bro. What the fuck?
Create music, their beliefs, and the impact that they had on the greater world. I think that would take 3 more episodes. I also know that there's people that are still pro Tupac or pro Biggie and not the other. I tried to get a comprehensive overview on both, but I don't have a preference for either, nor am I trying to convince you to like one more over the other, truly.
No, it's
So
not
with
the
that being
90s.
said,
You're fine.
Let's get into it. Do you
You're
know one
fine.
of Diddy's biggest songs?
Every step you make.
It's called I'll Be Missing You.
That one?
When it was released, it hit #1 on the Billboard's Hot
That
100
song.
charts for 22 consecutive weeks, which is kind of insane. The lyrics read, "Every day I wake up, I hope I'm dreaming. I can't believe this shit. I mean, I saw your son. He looks just like you. You will always be the greatest. You'll always be the greatest. I miss you big." The chorus of the song goes, "Every step I take, every move I make, every single day, every time I pray, I'll be missing you. Thinking of the day when you went away, what a life to take, what a bond to break. I'll be missing you."
Man.
This song is probably the song that many people think of when they want to really resonate with lyrics of losing someone. It's often played at funerals. It's about missing someone that's gone too soon. The whole thing was technically taken, actually, this whole song, from Sting's Every Breath You Take.
Yep.
He took a sample of that song and he just rewrote the lyrics without receiving the proper permission. Sting actually gets 100% of the royalties for that song to this day, but that is besides the point.
Bro,
it was
that-
probably one of the most pivotal songs during that time, and it was a tribute to his fallen friend, Notorious B.I.G. It actually won him a Grammy. But the wild thing is, in 2024, if we live in a world where some of the conspiracies turn out to be true, that means Diddy would have written this song as a tribute to the man that he may have helped kill and sang it alongside the wife of the man that was murdered.
Which is nuts.
This is the Diddy connection to Tupac and Biggie and their murders that everybody suspects Diddy was involved in. This particular elevator ride is taking a lot longer than normal. This is way back in the day. Typically, to go up 8 floors, it would take about 48 seconds, but this is feeling like a lifetime. When Tupac gets up to the 8th floor, he can't even feel anything. His whole body is numb.
He got
He
shot.
says, "When I got upstairs, I looked around and it scared the shit out of me." He sees standing there Biggie, Notorious B.I.G., famous rapper, alongside 40 other guys, including Sean Diddy Combs.
And Junior Mafia.
They were all there working on a new album titled, interestingly enough, Conspiracy. Then one of the guys there bursts out crying, "Oh my God, Pac, you have to sit down, you have to sit down." Tupac said, "I was feeling weird. Like, why do they want me to sit down?"
I wonder, I'm not gonna lie, I'm just like getting ahead of like these things because I wonder if she's gonna talk about the reason why all this shit happened. So I'm gonna let it go a little bit. So I don't know. I'm like excited to speak on this because kind of like I felt like I'd be studying this type of shit. But
It's like
know.
nobody wanted to approach him. He says, I noticed that nobody would look at me. Diddy was standing back too, and I knew Diddy. He knew how much stuff I had done for his artist Biggie before he came out. Whatever was said, or rather not said in that room, would solidify everything. Because in that cramped room, Tupac is practically alone, having been shot 5 times. Twice in the head, twice in the groin, once in the hand.
This nigga.
And he has a feeling that one or a few people in that room have something to do with it. He was shot in the lobby of a studio. He
Quad
hides
studio.
in the elevator, takes the elevator up to the 8th floor, and there's Biggie, Diddy, and all these other artists on the east side.
He just got shot
Just
Yeah.
got shot. He's bleeding out.
by himself.
And no one
Yeah.
wants to approach him, according to Tupac. And it was in that moment that he felt someone in that room had something to do with this shooting. Diddy
I feel the
and
same
Biggie.
way, cuz.
And perhaps he was right. Perhaps he wasn't right. But within 2 years, Tupac would be dead.
Bro.
Do you know who shot you?
No.
No. So does that mean that you also have no idea why they shot you?
No, I have no idea why they shot me. It's like anybody's guess. I don't know. I don't really like to talk about it.
There is a conspiracy out there that Tupac Shakur, one of the biggest artists of all time, that he's more actually commonly referred to as a cultural phenomenon than a rapper, has faked their death. That's the conspiracy. Tupac is alive. He's faked his death. He's out there. He's just watching all of us.
What?
This is the conspiracy that he's still alive.
He's still in Cuba?
So, if you know anything about Tupac, a lot of people might have wanted him dead. The vice president at the time, Don Quayle, who served under George W. Bush, he would state about some of Tupac's music, there is absolutely no reason for a record like this to be published.
Which is crazy because Tupac, even though Tupac was like talking his shit, he also had songs like Brenda's Got a Baby. Like, nigga. Like,
No reason at all.
Time Warner's a subsidiary, Interscope Records, withdraw this record.
But I'm not gonna lie though, like white folks hated rap back then. They hated that shit. Oh my gosh.
It has no place in our society.
Why? I mean, some would say because Tupac would release songs that served as social commentary. He was trying to enact change. One song is titled White Man's World. Notable lyrics read, one thing they ever did wrong was being born black in this white man's world. Being born with less, I must confess, only adds to the stress. Proud to be black, but why we act like we don't love ourselves. Don't look around, check yourself. Know what it means to be black, whether a man or girl. We're still struggling in this white man's world. We must fight for the countless political prisoners who are locked up falsely by the white man.
You know what's fucking crazy? Like he was making songs like this. Also, he was making some gangster shit. I'm not gonna lie, but he was making songs like this, and they were like, "Yeah, we don't need this anymore." And also, backtrack to the thing about I don't know if she's gonna talk about it, but like apparently, another reason why Diddy may be behind it, correct me if I'm wrong, but Big was in the studios writing songs for Junior Mafia, and they didn't like that. Never mind, I'm just gonna let it go.
He names prominent activists who fought for black rights. The government did not like this song.
Well, his mom
for
was
a
a Black
long
Panther.
time, Tupac was actually on the FBI watch list.
What?
Yeah.
Now, it's really hard to summarize who Tupac was, and obviously nobody is defined by their career, but Tupac is different.
Tupac was an
He had a
actor.
lot of intense views, and
Theater
I say
kid.
intense to highlight that it was intense for him. It was not smooth sailing for him to say these things
Mm-hmm.
because they might be considered normal right now. But the things that he was saying like 20 years ago, back then, he's making people uncomfortable.
Hmm.
He's making the FBI uncomfortable. So all that's to say, he's very ahead of his time. He's saying things like, I would have to change the world, or I have to be changed by the world.
Hmm.
In an interview, he once said, this world is such a world, and when I say world, I mean it. I don't mean it in an ideal sense. I mean it every day, and every little thing you do. It's such a gimme, 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 everybody back up. You get taught that from school. Every business, you want to be successful? Gimme, 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 push, push, step, step, crush, crush. That's all it is. Nobody ever stops. There's too much money here. I mean, nobody should be hitting the lotto for $36 million, and then we got people starving on the streets. That is not idealistic. That's just real. I mean, that is stupid. There is no way. There's no way that these people should own planes when there's people that don't have houses. I think that if they earned it, that's good. I think that they deserve it. But even if they still own it, they still owe it. He's known for being very, very vocal about the state of the world and what it means to be black and successful, but still feel indebted to the communities that you started from.
You know, also,
I don't fit in. That's hell. It's hell when you can't be around your peers. All my life, I grew up around black people, poor people, but I can't live around poor people now because they'll rob me. And why would they rob me? Because they're starving, because there's no money here. But they're telling me, now that I made a little money, I have to move here. So it's not like no one's ever trying to deal with this section. They're just moving away from it. And we got more stars coming from together, but they're gonna all move this way. All the society is doing is leeching off the ghetto. I don't want to be another I don't want to be 50 years old at a BET We Shall Overcome Achievement Awards. You know what I'm saying? Not me.
Wait, he mentioned 50-year-old BET award?
Yeah, exactly what Diddy received.
Whoa.
bro, that nigga Tupac was saying some real shit, bro. Also, one thing that I'm kind of thinking, and like I wasn't born back then, but if anybody was born back then, please fact check me or just like speak your mind. But I think around that time, NWA was a thing. And I don't remember fully, but Tupac is from Baltimore, but he came over to like the West Coast and was with that West Coast shit. Over on that side. And also Tupac was hanging, I think he was hanging with Bloods. I think Suge Knight is Blood. Yeah. The NWA niggas had songs called Cop Killer and stuff like that. So I'm like, maybe these people that were like afraid of gangster rap tied in what Tupac was talking about to what NWA was talking about and just like put it all together. And it's like, oh, there's no reason for any of this. As if like there's no type of nuances when it comes to making music. You know what I'm
To the point where Tupac had a lot of people who did not like the way and the things that he spoke about. They said, yeah, we would rather him not speak, like the vice president at the time. And he would say a lot of interesting things that I think ring true today. He would say things like, the government is the mob. That's the mob. I want to read the books that Clinton is reading because he does the same shit that we do, that I do, but he doesn't get in trouble for it.
Hell yeah.
He says, I think this country still runs on gangs. Republicans, Democrats, the police department, the FBI, the CIA, those are gangs.
Yep.
Even the correctional officers, which, side note, Tupac, he comes from like a line of activists. His mother was a prominent activist. She was part of the Panther 21, part of the larger Black Panther Party. Tupac was speaking at Black Panther Party rallies since he was 17. He's also had quite a notable personal life as well. I think a lot of younger people might know this part of him more than the activist part of him, which is sad, but you get it. He's been romantically linked with Jada Pinkett Smith.
Yeah.
I believe they've known each other since high school days.
Yep.
I don't know if they dated per se, but they were really close. Jada Pinkett Smith liked to call them soulmates, and it was a whole thing. Wow. By the time that they were ready to date, allegedly, she was already dating Will Smith. He wrote about it in a book, talking about how he would never live up to Tupac. Because he's Tupac, and he's just the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Which is crazy. This nigga is Will Smith. What do you mean you'll never live up to Tupac? I'm thinking like, when he said that, I'm kind of thinking like he'll never live up to the perception that Jada has of Tupac. If we're putting shit together like this nigga Will Smith was like Mr. Hollywood. And Tupac was Tupac. I'm kind of thinking like, if I'm just thinking like observing, like seeing what Will Smith was in and who Will Smith is versus Tupac, I'm like, okay, so let's keep it a stack. You probably meant I didn't read the book, but I'm just like thinking of like man brain. If my woman is gawking over a man who's been dead for 20 years, 20 plus years, still sending like letters and shit, just like speaking to him from beyond the grave. I'm like, bro, if I say something about it, I mean, I can't, it's physically impossible for me to live up to that perception that she has of that man. Nigga, if I was doing this shit Will Smith, I was like, man, fuck that nigga. But like, it's different because my wife loves that nigga. It's just something inside. They'll be like, damn, bro, what more can I do? You feel me? What more can I do? You know? That's what I'm feeling. But hey.
Tupac was also linked to have dated Madonna briefly. The two of them kept it a secret. It was recently in the news because one of the breakup letters that he had written her before his passing, it went to auction for over $100,000.
Oh
and
my
it was
gosh.
this whole ordeal. Madonna tried to stop it. She's like, that's my private life. That's my romantic life. Why is that letter going up for auction? Who okayed this? Turns out her former personal assistant had gotten rid of a bunch of her stuff. This was included
Who the hell is calling me?
in that stuff. The judge allowed the auction to go forward.
The assistant was selling her love letter?
I don't know
That's
if they
fucking
were
crazy.
selling or if they had just gotten rid of some clutter in the house and thought that this was clutter. But it seems a little nefarious. I'm not sure.
It is
Don't
nefarious.
quote me on that.
It is
now,
nefarious.
side note, in an interview from jail,
That shit is nefarious. Fuck.
Tupac had nothing but amazing things to say about Madonna. He did some not so nice things to her, said some not so nice things to her because he felt like he was a big Black Panther type of guy and she's white. Even though she's shown him nothing but love, he never felt like he could date a white woman. And he said that he felt really, really bad because once he went to jail, he called her. She was the only one of that level, of that stature that was willing to help him. Which,
That's
shortly
amazing.
after prison, he would be the one to say, my mama always used to tell me, if you can't find something to live for, then you best find something to die for. And he would die shortly after prison at 25 years old.
Which is fucking crazy. Like, the nigga, I don't know what it was, but like, I saw the video of him jumping that dude in like the thing. Like, just looking at like how Tupac's trajectory and everything was, it's like, yo, the thing, like, cuz was a theater kid from Baltimore. He became Tupac. You know what I'm saying? And like, to me, I feel like his downfall was just off of some nigga shit. Like, he beat this nigga up and just shit happened. And like, we're finding out more. And it's like, it's crazy how like people's stories can take one left turn and the whole trajectory of your life is just going on a certain type of path. You know what I'm saying? Like, ugh, gosh.
There have been allegations throughout the years to keep this theory, conspiracy theory, that he's still alive, if you will. People were reporting from all over the world. I saw him in New Mexico. I saw him in South Africa. And then Tupac's former bodyguard states, I know the truth. The truth is, Tupac is alive and has escaped to Cuba. He states that Tupac has been smuggled into Cuba with the help of Fidel Castro himself. Which, side note, this is not a random connection. Tupac's aunt is a political activist that is living in Cuba right now as an American fugitive.
She's a terrorist? What the fuck?
So he does have connections.
Oh.
He says, I have definitive proof. As his former bodyguard, I
Ain't Castro dead? Didn't he get killed? What?
helped him fake his death. He's alive, he's in Cuba, and I'm gonna show you that proof in a few days.
Why would he do
I mean, this
that,
feels
though?
like the real deal.
But why would he do that, though? Like, if I'm trying to, like, hide, why is this nigga trying to show where I'm at? I'm trying to hide for a reason.
Surely, this is like his former security detail. This is not some random person on the internet that's like, I saw Tupac when I was vacationing. But right before he's gonna release the evidence, he dies.
What?
He dies.
How?
You know how.
Nobody knows.
Nigga,
And then a year later, he comes back from the dead and releases a YouTube video. He says, my name's Michael Neese. I faked my death on the 18th of December. I'm here today, back from the dead, to show why and how I faked my death. I'm gonna put the record straight. I confess I faked my death and I feel quite ashamed about it.
first off, isn't that a crime? I think that's a crime. You can't fake your death. That's a crime, I think.
But it had to be done, and I'm here to explain the reasons why.
But also, I'm thinking like, okay, you faked your death. All right, boom, you're still alive. So whatever reasons you're faking your death, wouldn't it be like I'm trying to figure out why are people coming back alive to do this? Like, was he proving? Was he trying to prove like, oh, you can fake your death, or something? Like the fuck?
He argues that he had to fake his own death because he had to prove that he has the capabilities to help Tupac fake his death.
What in the world?
Nigga,
He
what?
alleges that he has audio and video of Fidel Castro confirming that he sanctioned Tupac's move to Cuba.
Why would he say
But
this?
the evidence has still yet to be publicly presented. People are skeptical about his claims now, but it has fueled the conspiracy that Tupac is still alive and well. And there's so many things to this theory. Yes, there's the reported sightings in New Jersey, Boston, Wall Street, LA, but there's also in his posthumous album that he did under Machiavelli, the lead single is called Hail Mary, which shows
love that
Tupac
song.
quite literally rising from the earth to murder all of his enemies.
I love that song.
Now, the explanation here is he has
Hail
all
Mary.
these unreleased music videos, these unreleased records that are now slowly getting released. But people thought it was weird. He's talking about rising from the earth to murder all of his enemies. Also, the album Machiavelli is a play on the word Machiavelli, the political philosopher. Apparently, he studied him extensively while he was in prison, and he was particularly a fan of the book The Prince, which some people have interpreted one of the lessons in there, one of the strategies for general principles of deception by Machiavelli to be faking your own death to control and fool your enemies. Some people went as far to rearrange the letters in Machiavelli because he could have spelled it differently for copyright reasons, because Machiavelli and Machiavelli are spelled differently. But also, what if it's an anagram for am, alive, K? What does K mean? K is a friend of his named Casanova the Don, which he might want to reassure that he's alive.
Nigga, what?
Why was he in prison?
Rape?
Oh, we'll get there. It's a very complicated issue. Side note, he actually releases a lot more music posthumously than he did when he was alive. And in one of the songs, you hear the lyrics, "Expect me like you expect Jesus to come back. I'm coming."
He said that? Oh,
People
shit.
thought it was strange. Then in
Oh, I don't remember him saying that. All right, what the fuck?
another song he sings, "I heard the rumors I died, murdered in cold blood, dramatized. Pictures of me in my final state. You know my mama cried, but that was fiction. Some coward got the story twisted."
I'm not gonna lie, bro. This shit hard. I'm sorry. I love performance art, and I know this shit is like deeper than that, but it's like, dog, this is real. Like, this is why I like conspiracy theories, because it's, I don't know. Maybe I'm weird. I don't know. I like this type of shit, or not like this type of shit. I'm very interested in these type of things, because you know how I be talking about the human experience and like how artists literally never die. Like for me, like I think like artists, and like it depends what your level of artistry is. You'll never lose it. You'll never die, and it's like all these type of things. Like imagine this nigga Tupac really is alive. Like if he really is alive, bro. The nigga is like, I don't know, like imagine a nigga seeing Diddy and all this shit. He's just laughing if he's still alive, you know? Dumbass nigga. You stupid, rapey ass nigga. Stupid, nasty ass. Like that's, I would like to believe it. But then again, if he's dead, you know, hey man, shit.
Furthermore, the way the unreleased songs, when they were released, they always sounded with the times. They always sounded modern, if you will. Now, some argue that's because the way they cut and pieced together, remastered the song to be with the times, but still.
But why would he be faking his own death for?
Because it's not just the rap world that was missing Tupac. He was on the FBI watch list for being a political activist. And then it all comes full circle in 2024 when a book gets published alleging to be Kim Porter's memoir that we talked about
Jamal
in the previous
T.
episode
Millwood.
about the horrors that she allegedly faced being Diddy's longtime girlfriend before she died. This supposed memoir is published on Amazon under the name Jamal T. Millwood, which is one of the many names that people believe Tupac is living under as his alias because he's still alive, is the theory.
The theory.
There are a few things that you should never do during a bail hearing. One of them is probably lashing out at the prosecutors. It's probably advantageous to not point at the prosecution team and say, these two dudes right here, they're not only ugly on the outside, they're ugly on the inside too. September 2023,
Oh, no,
a man
Keefe D.
named Dwayne Keith,
Oh, my God.
Keefe D, that's his nickname, Davis, gets arrested for the murder of Tupac. He's part of the Compton Crips. Evidently, he likes to call himself the Compton Street Legend. That's also the title of his memoir.
Compton Crips.
You say last year?
Last year, like decades later.
This guy got arrested for murder.
He also was talking a lot about that. He was like talking. He was like, bro, you know, Diddy, I'm did. Like, I don't know why. I don't know why, but he was talking.
Of Tupac.
Yes, for killing Tupac. Decades later, he gets arrested and he's pointing at the prosecution team, calling them ugly.
They're not only ugly on the outside, but they ugly on the inside too.
You're like, what does this have to do with anything, right? Well, Dwayne Keith, Keefe D, gets arrested, and just like the case in episode 1 of Jonathan Odie, after his arrest, he starts saying some very interesting things. He starts singing to the authorities, and honestly, he had been singing to the public, to the documentaries, in his own memoir for years, that perhaps a certain someone had put a hit out on Tupac.
Bro.
Worth 7 figures, $1 million.
The common
Kill
denominator,
Tupac,
bro.
you get $1 million. Now you do the math. What kind of
Which is also crazy because, bro, in certain places, you can get somebody killed for $2,500. A lot of people in like these quote unquote hoods will do anything for a check, bro. Like getting $1 million, and also I think he didn't get paid. That's why he was talking or some shit.
a person has that kind of money to take down another person?
Only
The police don't have to guess because Keefe D tells them Sean Diddy Combs.
He said Sean Diddy hired him,
Yeah.
paid him $1 million to kill Tupac.
Well, that's the thing. He killed Tupac. Well, he wasn't the guy that pulled the trigger.
He just
when
handed
they
him the
did
gun.
it, they killed Tupac, and Diddy still didn't pay him, and he's very upset about that. He says that he still, to this day, never received payment, and Diddy owes him big time. Now, this is very intriguing because this was just last year. He was arrested before all the allegations came forward about Diddy. Tupac was killed back in 1996.
Yeah.
Is there any new evidence or supposed evidence linking Diddy to the murder? According to a new lawsuit filed October 15th, 2024,
shit.
a few weeks ago. I don't know when you guys are seeing this.
Nigga, what?
Ashley
Nigga.
Parham,
I was about to say, huh? It's the 31st. That is 2 weeks ago.
she's going public with her name, and Ashley said that she was sitting at a bar when this guy next to her named Shane calls Diddy on FaceTime. He FaceTimes Diddy. She said this was back in 2018. Now, this happened, according to her lawsuit, in 2018, which she is just now filing the lawsuit along with all the other victims.
Okay, got it.
Yes.
And this is related to
Tupac.
Tupac.
Yes.
Okay.
He FaceTimes Diddy, and this is like around the height of the MGK and Eminem diss track, but I digress. The court docs are publicly available online. I'm telling you what she alleges in her document, but again, do your own research before you form an opinion. Everyone is innocent till proven guilty in the court of law. People have unfortunately lied before on court documents. I'm not saying that she's lying, but I'm also saying don't take it from me. Like, we have to see how it plays out in the court of law, legally speaking. The document alleges Ashley is sitting at the bar with Shane. Shane is trying to brag.
that gin
He's
and
trying to
juice?
get those brownie points for FaceTiming Diddy. The Sean Combs. It's kind of icky. You know,
I'm not gonna hold you, bro. I feel like the biggest bitch if I have to call Diddy to try and get a girl. Like, dog. Oh my gosh. What the fuck?
the way he's allegedly trying to impress people by having a famous friend.
Oh, gosh.
Let's just say Ashley is not impressed. The initial ick of like, ugh, you're doing this right now? Calling your famous friend. But also, it's Diddy. Ashley states out loud that she's not impressed, especially because she always believed Diddy had something to do with Tupac's murder.
Oh.
Because there were rumors back then.
Right. And this Sean guy is just a random friend?
Shane.
Shane. Sorry.
Yeah.
Random guy.
Yes.
Okay.
Now,
Damn,
Diddy's
Shane.
still on the FaceTime, mind you, and he makes a passing remark that Ashley's going to pay for that comment.
What?
He hears her say, oh, I never really liked Diddy because I always thought Diddy was involved in Tupac's murder. And he's like, you're going to pay for that. Which, Okay, I mean, how? The next month, Ashley gets a call from Shane, the guy from the bar. And he explains that he has cancer. Could you please come over because I'm having a hard time opening my medications. I'm in this weakened physical state. And yeah.
Are they friends? Why are you calling her? What?
She goes over because who's going to say no to that? She goes over, she opens his medications, helps him, and the two of them turn on a movie when out of nowhere, the main door to the apartment slams open, and allegedly, in comes Diddy, his bodyguard, and his chief of staff, the woman that has been compared to Ghislaine Maxwell in lawsuits and by netizens. The way Diddy walked in, as described in the lawsuit, was like ready to party. But it just feels maniacal because nobody's trying to party with him. He allegedly gets into Ashley's face and starts taunting her. Oh, you never thought you were actually going to see me, did you? In that manner is how it's described.
What the fuck?
But she still has to pay for what she said about Tupac during the FaceTime, doesn't she? Diddy allegedly grabs a knife, puts it up to Ashley's face, and threatens to give her a glass glow smile. Retaliation for her for what she said about Tupac. She states that the chief of staff allegedly tells Diddy not to because then they can't sell her. She threatens her, the chief of staff, the AKA second Ghislaine Maxwell, that they could easily just ship her off anywhere into the world and they would never see her again. Her family would never see her. Nobody would ever know.
That's crazy. So this is a trap from the beginning?
Yes. So the call from Shane is allegedly, according to the lawsuit, a trap.
What? She's not dating this guy either.
No.
She's just being nice to help him.
It seems like maybe they are forming like an acquaintanceship.
Oh, I was about to say, what the fuck?
She alleges that Diddy puts the knife down, takes off all her clothes, and starts squirting this oil liquid that he just takes out of his large fanny pack all over her. This is the very strange part. But allegedly, Diddy and his chief of staff spend a bit of time trying to insert an IUD into Ashley.
Hey, bro, nigga, this is so specific. What the fuck? Like,
Which, if you know, an IUD is like a copper metal T-shaped device that you stick into your cervix so that you don't get pregnant. Getting an IUD from a doctor is probably one of the most painful experiences that some people have ever had, to the point where there are conversations about why are there no anesthetics as an option for patients. I mean, it has to go into the uterus.
That's fucked up. What the hell?
Some parents have stated it's worse than childbirth. One person said, "My soul left my body. I saw a white flash of light. I'm not even being dramatic. It was the most painful thing ever."
I never knew that. Y'all have to go through that for bro, oh my gosh. I didn't know. I'm so sorry for being ignorant to this. What the fuck?
And these people are getting it done at medical facilities. And these people allegedly trying to stick an IUD into her have presumably no medical experience.
How did he get that? How did he get...
Eventually, they stop. The chief of staff, along with another one of the entourage, they leave. But there's still two other of Diddy's entourage there. So it's Shane, Diddy, and two of Diddy's entourage. 4 guys there that she had never met other than Shane. She's naked, she's terrified, and allegedly Diddy grabs a TV remote from nearby and violently essays her with it. While he's doing that, he's allegedly scathingly telling her that her life is in his hands. He could do whatever he wants to her. He could take her so that she's never seen again. The lawsuit alleges that she was already in pain from the IUD assault when Diddy throws her over onto her stomach and allegedly instructs Shane. Again, these are all allegations you can find online. I wasn't there to tell you definitively if this is how it happened and if this happened. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty, but these are quite specific allegations. Now, Ashley states in the lawsuit that Diddy tells Shane to put a pillow over her head. He's sick of her hearing her crying. The next instruction is Diddy tells Shane to allegedly essay Ashley anally. She states it was gang essay. First Shane, then Diddy, then John Doe 2. And
why is he fucking people in the ass so much? Like, what is going on? What the fuck is good with him, bro? Oh my gosh.
John Doe 1. She doesn't even know the names of these people that were gang essaying her. John Doe 1, before he even essays her, she said that he grabbed a bunch of baby oil, gets it all over her, and gets on top of her to use her like some sort of, quote, slip and slide. But due to how big his allegedly enormous stature was, the wind gets knocked out of Ashley. And she noticed the whole time Diddy was recording the assault while self-pleasuring. She also notices someone's phone had fallen off near the bed. She tries to reach for it to call for help, but the massive amounts of baby oil everywhere, it slips out of her hands. To which the lawsuit alleges Diddy found this quite hilarious. He also kept commenting that he owned her now.
This nigga weird. This nigga weird, bro. This nigga is weird. This nigga is weird. This nigga is fucking weird. If we haven't already noticed this nigga is weird. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what the actual fuck is going on? This nigga bursts into the room. First off, he gets mad because this woman thinks he killed Tupac. Then he bursts into the room, has an IUD, shoves a remote inside her cooter, makes another man get on top of her, and do all this stuff. And while this is happening, the nigga's laughing while beating his dick. Like, this is insane. Like, this shit is so specific. It's like, what? And then this lady's just watching all this happen? Like, first off, I thought Shane had cancer and he couldn't open his medication. Like, what the, nigga.
Ashley, in her attempt to leave, somehow ends up in the backyard where they're all smoking. So after they're done, they just go to the backyard allegedly and smoke like nothing happened.
Y'all just go outside and smoke a blunt like y'all ain't just do. All right, bro. All right, son. All right.
Now, at this point, again, allegations, Diddy asks her in a very strange, probably even more terrifyingly friendly way, why haven't we partied together before?
Bro.
You're so much fun. I haven't had ass that tight in a while. One of the guy allegedly laughs and states, yeah, because you only have anal sex with men. Which everyone laughs, but Ashley, she does not entertain them. She tells them this was not partying, this was rape. Diddy allegedly did not like that. He offers her money and tries to convince her that she's a sex worker and that this was consensual. Ashley allegedly loses it, telling him that she's not a sex worker and she's going to the police. He threatens her that her whole family is going to be harmed if she does anything like that. She states that at this point, Diddy calls someone and that person picks up a FaceTime and they're outside of Ashley's sister's home.
How?
And then he allegedly does the most bizarre thing. He calls his own mom, Janice Combs, who allegedly starts yelling at Ashley that she's just like a sex worker, saying all these crazy things. She better not go to the police and hurt her son. But the craziest part is, a whole fight breaks out. One of the Entourage essayers did not hear the comments that she had made about Tupac. And when she brought that up again, he pulls a gun out and points it at Diddy, allegedly. Because he's like, you killed Tupac?
Wait, she mentioned that right now.
Bro, I'm just trying to think. In this situation, I probably have the worst mental breakdown. Like, the amount of... I'm so sorry, lady. I'm so sorry. What the fuck? Like, nigga, what? This is so weird. Like, what is this situation? Like, what the fuck?
Yes.
And then one of the guys just pull a gun
Nigga just
out
pulls
on
niggas
Diddy.
pulls a gun out? Like,
and
do
Ashley
you know
states,
Tupac?
alleges that she took the knife that she had been hiding to defend herself. Everyone starts running. A neighbor comes out to investigate. Shots are fired into the fence.
What?
Ashley grazes Diddy in the stomach with a knife. More shots are fired. Ashley and a neighbor are taking cover behind a car. They make it to shelter in another neighbor's house where they state they called the police. Ashley alleges that the sheriff came, but after taking her statement, they didn't call her an ambulance. They didn't take her to the hospital.
Oh my
They didn't even
gosh.
offer to help her to get her clothes or phone from Shane's residence. Eventually, Ashley goes home, unsure of what to do. She did spend the night at Shane's, which is a lot of thing that netizens have been pointing out. Like, if you were that scared, why did you stay? But of course, that's like a crazy question to ask.
What the fuck?
Right?
She just got...
Now, eventually, Ashley goes home.
What do y'all think could... Like, I'm just trying to figure out, like, what is she supposed to do, bro? Like, like this nigga like what did I don't know. I'm really on the side of I don't think people will tap into their logic brain when something so traumatic happens to them. Like,
She's unsure of what to do. The first call that she makes in regards to this appears to be a few days later. She calls her primary care doctor asking for an HIV and STD test. She just didn't think anyone would believe her if she called the police because they already called the police, according to her allegations, and they did nothing. Side note, I do see some netizens calling this story so intense that it almost feels over the top,
It's
right?
very
But
intense.
other netizens have been pointing to Lil Rod, which we covered his lawsuit in the last episode.
don't
He
like
was
this
a producer that worked with Sean Diddy Combs for his 2023 album, the Love album. And he talks about how he has a head of security that can make things go away because he has lots of connections to law enforcement. For example, we're going to talk about this in the next episode, but there was at one point in the recording studio, Diddy, Justin, and another guy allegedly, according to Little Rod, get into a fight. Diddy, Justin, and the other guy go to the restroom.
Justin.
Justin Combs, his son. Yeah, Diddy's son. They go into a restroom, shots get fired, and the guy ends up shot in the stomach. Now, this actually did happen, but Diddy and Justin allegedly told everyone, hey, just tell everyone we were on the other side of the studio and we weren't there. We don't know who shot him. And they never got investigated for it. And Lil Rod is alleging that it's because his head of security has a lot of law enforcement connections. A lot. Who knows? I'm not saying those two things are related. I'm just saying these are what netizens are bringing up when people are saying, I don't know, this lawsuit sounds really over the top, right? And it's also so oddly specific
This nigga's
that a lot of
capable of
netizens
doing
are like, I mean, how do you make up such oddly specific things?
Yeah.
to be honest.
You know? But again, I don't know. I wasn't there. She states in the lawsuit she didn't call the police again because she already told the police, and now what? She just wants to get tested. And the crazy thing is she's just terrified. Her family is in danger. So days after the assault, she sees Shane, the guy that called her over, set her up, the guy from the bar, driving around in a new car. She believes that he got paid for that.
Is her identity out with the lawsuit?
She stated that she didn't want to hide her identity, which a lot of victims are hiding their identity, and I think it's totally understandable, right? But I think she just really wants people to see that she's, you know, definitely a lot of netizens are saying it adds more water to her claims.
More credibility, yes.
It's not until a few weeks later that Ashley presumably feels brave enough to go somewhere about it. She goes and does an SA kit at the hospital, ultrasound, x-rays. She lost a substantial amount of weight in the past few weeks because of the trauma. The police are contacted once more at the hospital, but this time she doesn't name Diddy because she's scared. That's the part that makes her sound crazy. Like, oh, sure, yeah, an A-list billionaire did that to you? Sure. She names Shane. She says there's two other guys. She doesn't know their names. And she thinks in the lawsuit it's stated, she believes that the footage is likely somewhere on body cam footage for both police incidents. The day that it allegedly occurred and the day at the hospital. Even the day of the incident, it must be somewhere, right?
Right.
Now, the next month, May 2018, Ashley says that she seeks assistance from therapists. She tries to have her therapy appointments covered by victim compensation funds, but then she's told that there's no law enforcement agency with an active investigation into her report, meaning she can't get free therapy.
What the
Because there's no
fuck?
active investigation. She's not a victim. So she's like, wait, what?
Huh?
This is confusing. The lawsuit states, quote, Ashley asked police for a copy of her report from the Walnut Creek Police Department on July 19th, 2018. Plaintiff, Ashley, was provided a letter from the police department stating that it was, quote, unable to furnish this information as it is confidential and not subject to public release. But she's not public. She's the victim in this case.
What the fuck?
But they allegedly refuse her a copy of her own police report where she's the victim.
Why?
You can do that. I thought FOIA, even for publics, we can.
There's a few legal barriers.
Oh, jeez.
So they're saying that this is strictly confidential. So I would imagine that they're telling her, hey, you got to get signed off by all the parties involved to get this receipt, you know, which has happened before in cases.
That's
The Contra
annoying
Costa
as fuck.
County Sheriff did make a statement that reads, a report was taken March 23rd, 2018. We take these cases seriously and detectives thoroughly investigated the accusations. It was later determined that the claims were unfounded. So they're just saying, like, yeah, we did take reports, but they're not real. Like, the claims were unfounded.
Wow.
Now, just to reiterate, a civil lawsuit does not mean that this is the truth and that Diddy will be found guilty in the court system. Some netizens state, bullshit, more gold diggers with these lawsuits. But most netizens, from what I could see, believe Ashley. They state all of that just because she said Diddy had something to do with Tupac's death. Now, that is absolute confirmation to me that, yes, he is indeed guilty of Tupac's death. Another comments, this just doesn't stop getting worse. To which someone responds, oh, I'm just going to imagine they're going to get a lot more worse.
How worse?
Which it does appear to be that way, because now with Tupac being brought up in association with Diddy, all of Diddy's past is seeing the light of day. And it's a lot. 33 years ago, Puff Daddy at the time, aka Diddy, was going to host a fundraiser for AIDS at the New York City College, where you would just pay $20 to watch celebrities play basketball. Boys to Men, Run DMC, Jodeci, Heavy D, Big Daddy Kane. It was rumored that Mike Tyson was going to be there. This is a huge event. Nearly 5,000 people show up to the gym. The problem being, the maximum capacity in that gym is half of that.
What the
Less
fuck?
than half of that. And nobody knew how to turn away the crowd. Around 6 p.m., the crowd manages to break through the exterior doors, but there's another set of doors that you have to get through to get into the gymnasium. They break through the first exterior doors, and the crowd surges so much that they bend a lamppost near that door.
Bro.
And they just want to get in. They've been waiting here all day. What do you mean? Some of us have tickets. Some of us were told that you're still selling like half the tickets at the door. Why have we been standstill in the same spot in the line for like all day? 5 hours. They break through the exterior doors and they start running down the stairs. They just need to reach one more set of doors to get into the gymnasium. Once they get down, those doors are locked. So you have a bunch of people squishing into this downward stairwell, trying to push up against these doors that are locked. These are the doors that lead into
I've
the
never
gymnasium.
heard this full
And there's
story.
people behind
Shit.
the stairwell trying to push into the stairwell because they don't know that the door is locked. Not only that, even if someone realizes what's going on and they walk over to the doors and they unlock the doors, you're not going to have people coming in because the doors have to be pushed into the group of people piled. It opens into the stairwell.
Oh no.
It does not open into the gymnasium. It opens into the stairwell. But there's no room in the stairwell right now. Nobody at the top knows that. They're all pushing into each other. One person said, everyone was so close together, you felt you could not breathe because of the weight of people pressing on your back.
Yo, that
Everyone's
shit is
screaming at
so
each other,
scary.
get back, get back. People are not taking it seriously. And even the ones that are, they can't move back because people are pushing into them. Finally, after 15 minutes, the doors to the gym almost basically pop off. Everyone starts spilling into the gym. The people who had been standing near the doors that have been getting squashed the most, now they're practically getting trampled on by the people behind them trying to get into the gym because they also can't breathe. In that moment, someone comes onto the intercom and tells them, the game is canceled because 3 people have died. You gotta leave.
Inside the gym, are there people? A lot of people?
I would say that they alleged that it was at around 40% capacity at that point already.
Oh, inside the gym is still empty at this point.
Yes, but they couldn't let people in because how do you stop them from coming in and then they're going to reach over capacity? So they never really unlocked those doors. They just waited till they popped off.
Bro, I've never seen this full thing. Oh my gosh.
Which then they come on the intercom and say, hey guys, 3 people died. Y'all need to go home, which ensues another round of pure panic because what do you
my
mean 3 people died?
fucking-
How did they die? Some people know about this stairwell, some people don't. One person said people started running, people are pushing each other down, people on the bottom were getting trampled, people jumped off the bleachers
This
and were
is
crushing each other.
terrifying.
People are trying to leave through the same door that people had just been crushed in minutes ago, trying to go up the stairs now to leave.
You could actually hear when somebody died because you would hear it. And then you wouldn't hear anymore.
Oh my god.
When the medics finally arrived, they said it was a state of chaos. One medic says, we had to break through the crowd when we reached downstairs. It's like an avalanche of people just trampling on top of each other. It was like a plane crash without a plane. I had a guy with a broken neck and I had to haul him over to the wall to avoid both of us being trampled on. One person at the event said, at one point there was a rush inside, and that's when you just saw bodies dropping. People were getting trampled. We were just chest to chest for hours. We could move a few steps an hour, that's it. Another woman at the event stated that before she left for the concert, she had put a tangerine in her pocket of her leather jacket. She had plans to eat it before, but she never got that chance. She said, when we finally got out of there, I reached into my pocket and there was nothing left but the skin of the tangerine. It stained my lovely jacket, and I kept that jacket as a reminder for years.
Oh my goodness.
9 people died.
Fuck.
And 29 people were injured that night. The 9 people that passed, according to the chief medical examiner at the time, the victims were 15 to 28 years old and had died from being asphyxiated. They were, quote, squeezed from the front to the back. There was no criminal trial, but Diddy was later asked to explain himself. And he states he knew something was wrong when, quote, as it started getting dark, we had to shut the doors because the line got so disorganized out in the front. He states that eventually the police came in through the back door, and he was telling them, look, there's way too many people out there, we need help. But according to Diddy, the police just leave. They don't come back until an hour later, which is already too late. Everybody's piled in the stairwell trying to get in.
So what the fuck did he say to them? How do you say, like, I'm trying to think, like, think about it like this. Y'all remember when Kai Cenat had like that mob, that riot in New York? And the shit was like that, which is insane. I feel like the world isn't real. I'm like, what do you say to police to get them to leave? I've been at parties where like the police come to the door and then they leave. It's like, yo, what did you say to them? Cause I'm like, bro, if they wanted to shut this shit down, they're gonna shut this shit down. I've been at parties that gotten shut down, shot up, all this other stuff. And I'm like, what did you say to them for them to leave and come back? Like what?
He says it was just an impossible situation. There was no way for them to be allowed in. There was already 40% capacity inside the gym.
Oh my
and yeah, you could let
gosh.
in a few more people, but it was chaos. He claims anybody who got caught outside with tickets, we were going to refund their money. We just didn't want to take the chances by opening the doors back up.
Bro.
But people start pushing from the outside and the doors just popped, snapped off the hinges, and people just start pouring in. They tore the doors right off the hinges. People started jumping down the staircase. People started piling up on top of each other, and
This is insane.
glass started breaking and the doors, and people were getting scared and running, just pushing, and it was pressure. Then all of a sudden, I'm on the other side of the door, pulling people through into the gym so that we could open some of the other doors. But even as we started pulling people in, more people were pushing through. We started screaming, get back, to back up. And like a few minutes later, we saw people passing out because the heat. We started seeing some scary shit. People's eyes were going back in their heads, and I'm thinking people could die out here. A big kid had gotten stuck in the door and we couldn't pull him through, or anybody else. The cops were being called, but nobody was coming, and I could just feel it. I was thinking some of these people were dying or dead. People had started regurgitating. Nobody was trying to mouth-to-mouth
this is
resuscitation, so I
terrifying.
started, and other people started. One guy that I knew, we were trying to revive him for like 45 minutes. He was throwing up in my mouth, but I didn't care. We were like, yo, man, you gotta live. We were pumping his chest and breathing into him, and I'm seeing my girlfriend bugging out because her best friend's there not breathing, and I'm trying to give her mouth to mouth, and I started to feel this feeling in the breath I'm getting back, that people were dead.
What?
I could feel the death going into me.
Huh?
What?
This
So he's the organizer
Yes.
of this event.
And he hired a bunch of associates who had no expertise. So there's a lot of people at fault. Diddy was definitely one of them, according to a judge, but the college was one of them for not having adequate safety measures. The police were also blamed for not having enough police detail at an event like this. But Diddy was also blamed for the fact that he wanted the biggest event in town, is what a lot of people believe. The ego got the better of him.
And
He
he
hired
tried
a
to-
bunch of people
Niggas?
who have never,
Just
ever
niggas.
organized an event
Niggas
of
off
this
the
size,
block.
of this
Okay.
caliber, with all these names. Like, imagine you're like, I'm going to go see all the top A-list celebrities at a celebrity basketball game for $20 at my local college. Think about
Right.
that.
Yeah.
That's a steal.
He
Shit.
says, later I went home and I just kept saying to myself that it was all a bad dream, that I was going to wake up, but I never woke up. I never woke up. And the next day we contacted the police and the mayor's office, but people just looked at the flyer and saw my name and Heavy D's name and started blaming everybody. People saying whoever threw the event must have f***ed up. Press started drawing conclusions before the actual investigation. Which a few witnesses state, really now, Diddy? Because they don't recall any of that.
Oh, shit.
One woman who thankfully made it out alive, she said she actually saw Diddy that night. She alleges he walked right past me after there was that big rush inside the gym. He didn't seem concerned about what was going on. He just wanted to get his stuff and get out of there. I never got the sense of remorse or accountability. Just like, let me get my stuff and get out.
Wait, how is he walking if there's so many people?
So it's mainly people stuck in that stairwell. Just stuck. They can't.
I imagine this nigga was like, oh, hell no, and got the almighty fuck out of there. That's what I'm thinking. Like, he did talk a big game. He talking about niggas throwing up in his mouth while he trying to give him mouth to mouth. I'm like, oh, what? I felt the death come into me. I'm not gonna hold you. This is news to me too. Never knew the full story. I honestly thought it was just a party that like got way too crazy. I didn't know it was a charity event. Shit.
Even with the doors, it's hard to pull them out. Because the doors were like popping out. They weren't all the way open.
Okay, so everyone's jammed in this little stairwell, and he's like outside and just walking by.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm gonna go home.
Oh,
Allegedly.
I'm gonna leave here.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave.
Whoa.
In fact, later in a 1993 cover for Vibe titled Puff Daddy, this is not a Puff piece, and I was just so confused. I didn't even know if this was real. It's real. He says, it wasn't the tickets that oversold, like people said. It wasn't the fire department's fault or the cops. It was just that overall, the Black community, there's a lack of self-love. The majority of these kids weren't necessarily going to put themselves in a situation they get hurt, but when it comes to loving their neighbors and moving back, they couldn't love their neighbors because they didn't love themselves.
No
So he's
way.
blaming.
Which is absolutely one of the most unhinged ways I've ever heard someone describe a literal stampede, a literal surge, a crowd surge.
Yeah,
That's
what?
not how physics works. And also, what the are you saying?
When
Why would he
was
say
the
that?
stampede happen? Do you remember what year was it?
91?
You said 33 years ago?
Yeah, like early 90s.
91.
And this piece was like years later.
Yeah, so he had time to reflect. There's a lot of even further allegations
Why would
that
he
I
say
don't know
that?
if I can have an opinion about, but I'm going to tell you exactly what was said online and like the discourse that's circulating. So later it said that Diddy was all about uplifting the Black community. That's what he spoke heavily about, especially in 2023 when he changed his name to Brother Love. He was all about the Black community. And people that knew him, some sources, like a former bodyguard, allege he's just taken the cards out of Tupac. Like he wants to be Tupac. Tupac was all about uplifting Black people, but also at the
Yeah.
same time, it's like, this is what Diddy said 33 years ago. So I don't know, you know?
Yeah.
Like he says things that he thinks people will like to hear.
Yeah.
The judge ruled that Diddy was partly responsible. He will not be
Why the fuck did he say that? Like, I'm just trying to think, like, when a crowd surge happens, it doesn't matter the community. Like, humans are going to be humans. When some shit like this happens, it's not a black or white issue. We literally saw this at the It's a One thing. We saw this at the Astro World thing. And we saw it here. It's not like Black people don't love each other. It's like they wanted to get in and see these celebrities. That's what happened. That's what happens. It's not a Black thing. Like, bro, like, I'm just trying to think, like, y'all must have seen Tupac like he was God or something. Because this nigga is saying the same things that maybe Tupac is saying, but like, and maybe he provides money to Black colleges, HBCUs, but on the same side, he's hanging niggas over balconies, raping women, blowing up niggas' cars. Like, I don't like, what?
facing criminal charges, but could be in fact held liable in damages in a civil court. Which, side note, he just settled the last lawsuit pertaining to this matter in 2000.
What?
So we don't know because most of them were undisclosed settlements, but he's been paying settlements throughout the years.
This nigga must have so
The judge
much
said,
fucking money.
it does not take an Einstein to know that young people attending a rap concert camouflaged as a celebrity basketball game who have paid as much as $20 a ticket would not be very happy and easy to control if they were not allowed in.
Exactly.
If they were unable to gain admission.
It's not a race
A lot of
issue
people
either.
believe that it's just Diddy's inflated ego happening all over again.
Like, the whole kill is like, all right, you can have this big event with, like, uplifting the black community. Cool. But you gotta know the places you're in. This is like 91. I'm like trying to imagine like what the place looked like. It's like you can't fit all these fucking people in here. Nigga, when I go to a basketball game or a football game, I'm trying to leave early before the crowd comes. That's at like a stadium. And you know how crazy a stadium can get? You know how crazy an arena can get when a K-pop concert comes? And you're trying to fit all these, like, I'm just, gosh, bro.
Now, side note, remember how this is allegedly an AIDS fundraiser? They promoted the event stating that it was going to help AIDS educational outreach program.
Yeah.
It's a questionable organization that is not a registered charity and is not known amongst anti-AIDS groups.
What?
So, and anti-AIDS groups meaning like they're trying to
Help. Sure.
yes.
Yeah.
Many attorneys representing the victims said there was ample time to suspend the event, shut it down to prevent a tragedy. That decision was not made. Another victim's mother said all they really wanted from Diddy, because he was young at that point, was an apology. That's it. He allegedly resisted all accountability. The mother says, I want Sean to step up to the plate and say, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have done this. That's all she wanted. Now, to be fair, he does offer an apology. You can be the judge of how remorseful he sounds. He says, I'm sorry for being the promoter of the event. I just pray for the families and pray for the children who lost their lives every day. You know, it's a tragic event and my heart goes out to the families. The families did not find him to be truthful. They said, I feel like he's just passing the blame instead of accepting responsibility. He's trying to cover for himself. He also states, City College is something I deal with every day of my life. But the things that I deal with can in no way measure up to the pain that the families deal with. One journalist who worked on the coverage of the college incident, they remember thinking, Puffy? Who the hell is Puffy? Who's this guy named Puffy Daddy? Puff Daddy? The event coordinator? He's a hip hop producer? That's all they know about him so far, the journalists. They remember thinking, man, this Puffy guy can't have much of a future after this, huh?
And then he's...
Oh, are you saying like he wasn't that big back then?
Yeah, so all the celebrities like Heavy D, Run DMC, they were huge. But Puffy, like I said, he's not really a musician. He's like a producer. He's just a behind the scenes guy.
Oh.
And it says organized by Puff Daddy. So the reporters are like, who the hell is Puff Daddy?
Oh, he's trying to get
Puff
his name out
Daddy's not
there.
going to have a future in this industry anymore. 2 years later, Puff Daddy would start his own record label, Bad Boy Records. Within 4 years of opening the label,
Which is insane. How in the hell was he able to do that? That's very insane, actually. This nigga just starts a label and just gets people and just gets people and just gets more people and just does what he does. And at the same time, he's doing this nefarious shit. I'm just trying to figure out how is he able to get away with stuff like this? You know, like I'm trying to put this all, package it. Niggas couldn't do nothing back then. Like, obviously I wasn't back there. And I'm like, yo, how was he able to do this and nothing happened to him? Whose shoulders is he rubbing to be able to do these things? Like, I don't know, bro. Like, I don't know what type of anomaly he is. And I'm not trying to, like, big him up or anything, but it's like, how does this shit go under the radar? It's mind-boggling to me. It really is. Back then, from what people told me, from what I've doing research of how black folks were treated back then, they could barely walk down the street without getting harassed by police. And a nigga from New York. So I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't know.
label sold nearly $100 million worth of records.
Holy
People
shit.
said there's just something about Diddy. He just has this way of being able to convince people that whatever he's doing or wherever he is, that's where you want to be. That is the hot shit.
How?
He is a master marketer.
How?
I mean, that is, you have to give him that. Like, just to give you a quick example, he was working on promoting 2 of his artists, Big, B-I-G, and Mac. But he has to give a bunch of journalists their music to sample because this was before streaming. So he has to give them CDs, mixtapes. He has to give them photos if they want to reprint him in magazines. He has to provide original copies of photos.
Holy
so
shit.
he created this Big Mac sampler. It looked like the McDonald's Big Mac packaging. And he would put in all their mixtapes and he would call it the Big Mac.
It's like a PR package.
Oh, it is Craig Mack. This nigga. Why does this nigga have to be smart and evil? Like, this shit is so cool, but like, you are an evil person. Why? You know, you could literally uplift the black community just being a good marketer. Like, what the fuck? Like, nigga, what? Like that.
Yes, before PR packages really existed.
So he was very creative.
Very creative.
Holy shit.
Someone who worked really closely with him once said, Puff was my young warrior. I could send him into the jungle and he would bring back the lion's head every single time. The company sold over 500 million records, produced over 38 platinum albums, and won multiple Grammy Awards. That is Bad Boy Records. And it would be the start of the alleged boiled egg test. In a recent interview with Chris Cuomo, someone very familiar to Diddy was being interviewed by Chris. He would tell Chris Cuomo they used the boiled egg test. They used to take a raw boiled egg, had the guys pull their pants down at the studio, had them bend over, and then stick it up their bottoms.
Why would you need to do that? You don't got so no records for you to need to even do that. That's like a bunch. That's like protein just wasted. That's food wasted. Why are you doing this?
If the eggs break, that means they're not ready. They said they didn't put in enough work because this is Hollywood.
What?
Niggas shove a boiled egg in my ass. And that's what I need to do. Like, that shit does not sound real. That doesn't sound real. Why? Why are we doing this? Why?
It means they're still not loose enough.
Oh, their
in
ass.
the back door. And that means they didn't put in enough work in Hollywood.
Oh, so you gotta get
because
fucked in the butt.
back door needs to be used. Yeah, this is a crazy allegation.
Yeah.
But you have to take the whole story with a grain of salt because, first of all, the claims, like I said, are allegations. They're unverified. Additionally, it's being said by a man named Suge Knight, Diddy's
Suge Knight.
longtime rival and competitor, the founder of Death Row Records in California.
That nigga in jail
Well,
now.
he's one of the founders. Death Row Records, at its prime, was making over $100 million per year. Bad Boy Records, we don't know exact numbers, but they're doing $100 million in record sales for 4 years. Death Row Records, $100 million per year.
They were just.
Are they still around or no?
No, Snoop Dogg just rebought it.
Yeah.
He was signed with Death Row Records. He's one of the most notable artists. So he's trying to revive it, but it did eventually go bankrupt, I believe.
Which is crazy. This man Snoop Dogg is the most famous Crip. That's amazing. Snoop Dogg really did. Damn, bro. Man, I really like black people. I'm not gonna hold you. That shit is amazing. Not the way Diddy do it, but like I'm fascinated how the way niggas can make their own way. I love that. I really love that. Very inspiring. And he was like commentating in the Olympics too. Like, that's amazing to think about, actually.
They had some of the biggest talent signed onto their label at their prime. They had Dr. Dre, who was a co-founder, but also releasing and producing his own music, Snoop Dogg, MC Hammer, Outlaws, and eventually they would go on to sign Tupac while he's in prison.
Don't forget
But
Nate
we'll get
Dogg
there.
and them.
Tupac was Suge's biggest talent. I mean, not just in terms of size, but in terms of potential. It is well known that Tupac was a poetic genius. He was literally into poetry. He took poetry classes. He would write poetry for Jada Pinkett Smith, and then she would retell it on Instagram. It was like a whole thing. Tupac is a different breed. He would rap about his beliefs. One of his most well-known songs, Change, the lyrics read, "I'm tired of being poor, and even worse, I'm black. My stomach hurts, so I'm looking for a purse to snatch. Cops give a damn about a pull the trigger, kill a, he's a hero. Give the crack to the kids. Who the hell cares? One less hungry mouth on welfare. First, ship them dope and let them deal to brothers. Give them guns, step back, and watch them kill each other.
This nigga was spitting. Oh my gosh. Oh, fuck, bro. Yo.
He would say in an interview, if the church was taking half the money they were making and gave it back to the communities, we would be all right. If the church take half the buildings they use to praise God and gave it to the motherfuckers who need God, we would be all right.
And that's also another thing that I kind of have a theory about, and I've been like thinking about it, like, you know, and it's just like a quick tangent, like, you know how there's like a thing where, and we're just talking about, like, I guess I'm putting on my black tinfoil hat and everything. You know how they say like the church was the main thing for black people because we listen to the pastors because, you know, a lot of us love God and everything. There's a thing that I was like reading up on or like finding out about, just like how the higher powers who were trying to infiltrate black communities would go to the pastors because they know that we're going to listen to them, which is also why there was a thing where pastors in churches would focus more, and don't quote me on this. I've heard about it, and it just makes me go like, why pastors kind of like talk more in the black woman's favor and putting down the black man. Like they kept saying like the black man needs to step up, the black man needs to do this, the woman is strong, da 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 da, which is why there was like there's a seeming exodus from black men away from the church, and which is why it's like grandmas always like make sure the family's up in prayer, but the man of the house was not always tapped in like that. I'm not saying like they were like excommunicated from the church, but it's like there's like a reason as to why the woman, the black woman or grandma, all this other stuff is always tied to the church. You know what I'm saying? It's like a messaging thing. And like, I'm not saying like it's fact or gospel. This is something that I've observed in certain things, which is why I'm not really too like churchy. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just thinking, I'm like, that makes a lot of sense because the way that they, the way that they tried to break up the black family was put the man and the woman against each other, separate them. That's why we got this. That's why we got that. That's why we got blah, 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 blah. It's just an interesting thing to think about. And I find it very interesting, but don't quote me on that. Y'all can do your own research. And maybe I'm just talking shit. I don't know, but I'm just like thinking of how I'm observing all this stuff. And it's like, wow, it's fucking crazy. And also that they gave niggas guns and watched them kill us. Because where the hell are we going to get the guns from unless they're like supplied? But, sorry, this is about Diddy. So,
have you seen some of the churches lately? There's ones that take up a whole block in New York. There's homeless people out here. Why do some of these buildings have gold ceilings? Why does God need gold ceilings to talk to me?
And the whole kill is like, is literally in the Bible. It says 2 or more people is church. You don't need these big ass churches. Joel Osteen doesn't need that big ass fucking church. You know what I'm saying?
Side note, Tupac clarifies he believes in God. He just doesn't agree with some of the organized religions where the heads of the communities hoard the wealth in this tax-free haven and don't give it back to the communities. He says, just because I don't have nothing to pass around, a bucket for people to put money in, doesn't mean that I'm not doing God's work. These underserved kids ain't God's children.
It's fucking crazy. Because the thing about it, it's always a bunch of churches and corner stores in these areas. It's like a church on every other block. There's a liquor store on every other block too. That shit's crazy. I'm not even going to hold you, bro. I'm not even about to get too much into it because who am I? I'm just a dude with a camera that likes K-pop. Don't worry about what I'm saying.
I don't see no missionaries coming through here. He says, well, some reverends go to the middle class areas, get invited to dinners at the White House to pray over the president. Just because he's not doing that doesn't mean he's not doing God's work. He states, I'm not saying that I'm going to rule the world or I'm going to change the world, but I guarantee you that I will spark the brain that will change the world. And that's our job. It's to spark somebody else watching us.
I fuck with Pac.
Which, side note,
Well, his message.
Tupac was a very complicated person. I think some people, when they just hear, oh, he's an activist, he stands for these things, they want him to be this perfect person.
Nah, he was a nigga.
But there are songs where he does rap and maybe in some people's opinion, yeah, to a degree, I would say, he does promote violence in some songs. And people don't understand how you can be dual faceted and come from this very complicated background.
A lot of people try to equate like rapping about stuff like this is a way to express what we've seen, and like at the same time it could be like oh, humans are hypocritical, humans are complicated, humans are multifaceted, which sounds crazy because we're promoting this, but then we're promoting that, which also ties into that shift about, I don't know if you guys see the Bone Thugs and Harmony dude talk about how the music industry was here to promote violence and promote debauchery and promote these type of behaviors to sell records. And they don't give a fuck about what it actually does to the community, you know? So it's like, I don't know. I don't know him. I'm just like, maybe he fell into that thing of where he was trying to do this, and then all the things that were happening probably corrupted his mind, but he tried to keep that thing in his head. Like, I don't know. Like, we don't know. I wasn't there. I don't know if you were there. If anybody was there, please sound off what you think. It's just like, it's very complicated, bro.
And Tupac himself was so self-aware. He says, quote, I'm missing some lessons. You can see the lessons that I'm missing when you talk to me. You can see where I haven't had a father when you talk to me. You can see where I spent a lot of my time in the streets when you talk to me. Because the words that I say aren't the words that come from a mother's mouth or a father's mouth. It's the words that come from a pimp's mouth or a sex worker's mouth or a hustler or a drug dealer. But to me, those were my role models. Which obviously, if you want, you can spin it as, look, this guy is looking up to pimps and drug dealers. But it's so much more of a deeper message. It's a message of like young people in these marginalized communities. That's the only education they get.
And they're also looking for a way out. To the people who say like, oh, you say this, oh, you say that, people are trying to look for a way out of these situations. It's sad that the people who have made it out are the drug dealers, the BMFs, the drug dealers, rappers, ball players. Some people in ways to make it out, but it's going to be a little bit harder and it's not as fast. Artists, teachers, leaders, activists. So it's like it's a we, and then it's not much financial education. It's not much all this other stuff. And they thinking like, oh, you could be a banker. You can be this, that, and the third. You can get a good job. You can get a good government job. And then boom, you probably think you make it out. Then you're trying to fill into this hustle and bustle and all this other stuff. And then boom, you hit a wall. And then you might have to go back to the same ghetto. It's like, it's very complicated. And sometimes when I'm hearing people say like, oh, you could have did this, you could do that in hindsight. And it's like, bro, these people I'm looking up to are making money, having power. People are doing what they need to do to make it out, to I guess provide for their family. And also it's also a cycle because they're being supplied these things. They're being promoted these things. It's just a cycle. It's all a cycle, and it takes someone to break the cycle, to break a generational cycle, which can take 20 plus years. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, and I'm not saying like, oh, I'm for the people who sell drugs and this is that and the third. It's like it's sad. It's really sad that people have to go through these mediums to make ends meet, and these ends don't really justify the means. Fucking Big Meech literally just got out of prison. Some people are celebrating it. Some people are like, yo, that guy's bad. And it's like, fuck. And then timing and like, it's honestly, it's very complicated. I don't just want to chalk it up to that. Like, I'm not about to say like, oh, I have the right. I have the way out. You know, it's like, I'm just trying to make sense of it as to why things like this happen. And also, it's like you look at somebody who you probably grew up watching, and it's like, damn, he did that. I feel like I'm able to see this happen. I can see this happen within, bang, a couple months, bang, a couple years. This is why you got a bunch of people, a bunch of YouTubers, a bunch of people wanting to be rappers, a bunch of people wanting to be OnlyFans models, a bunch of people wanting to do all these things and get all these mediums and be social media famous, because they probably think like this validation is nice. Along with this validation, it depends if you want clout or not. It's like you feel a sense of success and it comes like that. A lot of people would like to get that, would like to make it out or be successful as fast as possible, because time is money. If you can get to that bag with enough time, fuck it, we're doing it. We're going for broke. Bang, 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 YOLO, like all this type of stuff.
For a lot of nuanced, complicated, deeply tied to historical reasons, the Black nuclear family unit was ripped apart. Not by Black people.
I appreciate
Many
that.
times intentionally by society to keep them down socioeconomically. But also, what other choice do these young kids have? It's not like the rich areas are just going to open up their arms. Yes, come to our school. We'll teach you.
Hell no.
He's not saying he looked up to pimps because that's what he wants to be. So it's like there are a lot of complicated emotions in his music. Now, if Tupac represents the West Coast, the East Coast equivalent would be Christopher Wallace, aka Biggie Smalls, aka Notorious B.I.G. He was born the only child of a single Jamaican mom. He actually got his start freestyling in the streets of Brooklyn.
Hell yeah.
But
His
obviously,
mama found
that's
the
not
mashed
making a ton of
potatoes
money,
under
so
his
he
bed.
did deal drugs on the side. He did go to jail for 9 months on a weapons charge. And when he gets off, he's like, you know what? I don't like prison at all. That was not a good experience. I'm going to change my life. I'm going to make music. He actually gets discovered, if you will, by Diddy. This is when Diddy didn't have his own record label. He's working with Uptown Records, remember?
Before the Bad Boy.
Yes, this is where he meets Kim Porter. Yes, he's working at Uptown Records. All the other executives, they freaking hate him. And Biggie gets signed with Uptown Records. And eventually he leaves Uptown to go with Bad Boy Records with Diddy. Diddy would say about Biggie, I mean, he just had so much melody in his voice. It was like he was rapping, but it was so catchy. It was almost like he was singing, and he was such a clever poet. The way he put his words together, the way he saw things, he saw things so vivid. If you
Yeah, he said that. Then this nigga also got lyrics. He said, da da da, want to kidnap kids, blank, 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 throw them over a bridge. Like, okay. All right, bro.
If you sat and listened to a Biggie Smalls record in the dark, you would see a whole movie in front of you. And the most amazing thing is, Biggie never wrote down his lyrics. He'd sit and compose them in his head.
Which is fucking crazy, because that's what Jay-Z... Oh my gosh, I love hip-hop so much. Fuck, bro.
Wow.
Even one of his very first singles, it said that he recorded the entire track in one take. To give you context, some professional artists can take 20, sometimes 100, sometimes more, depending on how they're perfecting or improving. But one take is still insane.
It is.
One person that they stated always does one takes is Bruno Mars.
Oof.
Like one take is kind of crazy.
Really? Oh, shit.
Now, for the sake of being thorough, Biggie does have a very complicated personal life. Little Kim was also an icon in her own right. She was signed with Bad Boy Records. She was having an affair with Biggie. So Biggie eventually marries a woman named Faith Evans, famous singer, having an affair with Lil Kim. It has been stated that he was very violent towards her in the relationship. Very violent.
Little Kim?
Yes. And potentially
movie.
Faith Evans. And potentially any woman that he dated. Right. Tupac did serve 9 months in prison for first-degree sexual abuse. He was charged with, which is the more serious charge, but he was acquitted of the more serious charges and just found guilty of sexual abuse, which is not me trying to downplay it. But there is more discourse about Tupac's personal life.
Why is that so?
With Biggie's personal life, it seems like nobody really refutes the idea that he was violent with women. With Tupac's personal life, a lot of people think because of the time and because of how outspoken he was about racial inequalities. And the fact that his parents and his aunt were all Black
tried
Panthers,
to
and the
put
fact
that
that he's
shit on
already
him?
on the FBI watch list, a lot of people know that back in that time, there would be false convictions toward those people just to put them away, just to taint their image. Now, I'm not saying that that's true in
Central
this
Park
case.
5 and shit,
I'm just
bro.
saying it has
That shit's
happened before during that time and probably even now. So a lot of people have a hard time.
Who to trust, right?
Yes.
What do we really know? Yeah.
Which is unfortunate because it's always believe the victims, right? But
Yeah.
I think it just gets really complicated in this case. And again, I don't have that much information about this specific case of SA here, but there's just a lot of discourse and it would be difficult to not include that. A lot of netizens have argued
you,
that
Stephanie.
Tupac was set up for the charge. They state that Tupac was already under FBI surveillance and he was very politically outspoken.
Maintaining your innocence.
Because I'm loud. I didn't shut up. But I didn't think they was going to take it this serious. Me keep talking out. I didn't think it was going to be a matter of life and death.
He also maintained his claim of innocence, and previously he has only spoken highly of women in interviews. And most of the women that have known him, they've only spoken highly of how much he was a gentleman.
That is true, but yo, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not putting nothing past nobody. And you know me, y'all know my body. Like, I believe the victim until it comes out that the victim was, if it came out the victim was lying, then we gonna take it as that. Hey, bro, that shit is fucking crazy. And I'm not, and it's like, it's really, it's sad. It's really sad, bro. And then you got niggas like Diddy you got niggas like Diddy doing this shit and getting away with it, which makes me so fucking mad. It makes me so mad, bro. Like, what the fuck? Just so mad and disappointed, cuz.
He wrote a lot of songs for his mom. Like, it seems like he grew up with a lot of powerful women in his life. So some people say it just doesn't make sense. Again, I'm not agreeing with them or saying you should agree, but these are what the netizen discourse is. There was alleged evidence that could prove Tupac's innocence, but it was
Really?
conveniently, quote unquote, lost by the prosecution, which of course only fueled the theories that he did not commit any sort of abuse. Now, do your own research. I'm just giving you a brief overview. The victim has still been outspoken of how this did happen to her. It's very complicated. It's very messy. And a lot of netizens have a lot of intense feelings about that case. So do your own research. Many believe, for sure, Tupac and Biggie, they must hate each other because they're
No, they were
competition.
friends.
East Coast, West Coast,
Well,
they hate each
they
other.
were cool with each other.
They were actually friends.
Yeah, like-
in fact, when they first started hanging out, Tupac was a little bit more famous than Biggie. He was further along in his career, but they had both respected each other's musicality. And Tupac is not the one to feel like I should be the only famous one. He would actually help Biggie out. Biggie would crash on his couch when he was doing shows in LA. He would invite Biggie out to freestyle on stage together, which is a big deal because you're sharing your audience with him, right? And eventually, Tupac would even form a group called Thug Life, which he has tattooed on his stomach. He wanted Biggie to join. Biggie was like, I'm good. But again, they're still friendly about it. Diddy says Biggie loved Tupac to death. Tupac helped Biggie out when we were just getting off the ground. He would come and let us open his shows. A lot of people say Diddy was the third wheel in the relationship. Yeah, people said Diddy was fascinated by Tupac. He was fascinated with Biggie, but to him it seemed like Biggie was more of a money-making machine. This is his biggest artist on the label, and he's going to make him big so he can make money. But with Tupac, the way that it said
Niggas
that he was able
loved
to,
him.
quote, marry street credibility with mainstream appeal. Like, he's just a very multifaceted person. Like, people would never say, oh, he's not tough. But also he stands and he's very open about his sensitivity, and he even talks about bringing out his feminine side.
real
And so
nigga shit,
it's
bro.
like just so multifaceted, and a
some
lot
real
of
nigga shit.
mainstream audiences liked him, which at this point hip hop was not really mainstream like it is today. So Diddy is like, I am just fascinated by this man. He would get his team to study Tupac's records, and honestly it seems from insider reports that Diddy wanted to be besties with Tupac.
Really?
According to Diddy's former bodyguard, Tupac was known for wearing Versace shirts. Then Diddy goes and wears Versace shirts.
Oh,
which
shit.
fine. He's like, some dudes would do that. But beyond that, Gene Deal alleges Diddy would do this bizarre thing where he would try to find all the women that Tupac had been intimate with and try to be intimate with those same women.
Okay, that's all right. That's nasty.
been
Okay, no, that's
analyzed.
weird. That's weird. That's weird. That's weird. That's weird. That's weird. That's weird. Holy fuck, that's weird. Oh my gosh, that's fucking weird.
If true, this would be
Yo.
a really complex psychological situation. Probably psychological mimicry by having the same partners Diddy might be trying to emulate Tupac.
Nigga was forcing himself to be Eskimo brothers with Tupac. That's weird. That's very weird. Like I don't think it's nothing wrong with being Eskimo brothers with somebody because it's their body, women's body, their choice. But like to actively go out and find these people and then try to build that's weird, bro. Just because another
Tupac in some way trying to be him. There's also something called retroactive jealousy, which means instead of being fixated on the romantic partners, on your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, right? Their sexual past, you're fixated on a competitor's romantic past, which is
odd.
It's like a thing. It's weird.
It's odd.
And there's a sense of validation seeking. Okay, if these women are willing to sleep with Tupac, then they're willing to sleep with me, then I must be on the same level as Tupac, is the idea. Side note, Sarah Chapman, the mother of one of his children, one of Diddy's children, was actually a girlfriend of Tupac's, allegedly.
That is weird.
And
it's
allegedly,
weird.
Kim Porter was a huge fan of Tupac. She actually wore a Tupac shirt on the red carpet with Diddy.
This is after...
I'm gonna be honest, bro. I don't know what type of power this nigga Tupac had on people, but the fact that niggas still feel that way, like they still feel the effects, is insane. And it also is a little bit insane that even though the power of women is crazy, and the fact that a lot of people be like belittling them is insane. Like I'm just thinking of it, like the way your girl can make you feel about how they're fascinated with another man it's just crazy to think about. Like Jada Pinkett Smith, this nigga Will Smith said, I just wanted to be Tupac. This nigga Diddy apparently was sleeping behind Tupac's people. Like I don't know. Like energy is insane. Like I don't know what this nigga was like. So it's like,
Tupac's
crazy.
passing.
Oh, way after. This was like before her passing, like in the 2010s. Yeah.
That is weird too.
Weird.
Yeah.
Very strange. Some would say that Diddy was just obsessed with Tupac in every way possible, in a very creepy way. But the feeling was not mutual. In fact, quote, according to an insider, Pac did not have any kind of respect for Puff.
Oh, shit.
To all of them, Puff was just a corny executive. I guess they had this mutual respect for one another until Tupac gets shot. 5 times. Tupac is in New York City when he gets a call to come work on a song in a recording studio. When he gets there with his entourage, he's got a whole group of people, he has a bodyguard, he sees people waving to him from the balcony from one of the rooms on top of the building. So he's about to walk into the lobby. He looks up and there's people on the balcony, Bad Boy Records artists. They're like, hey, come, stop by. Tupac gets inside. He's waiting for the elevator to take him up. It's a dead end. You know, it's like a small little studio. The only way out of the building now is through where he came from. But before he can step into the elevator, 2 gunmen approach demanding everyone to get down. Everyone gets down except Tupac. He said that he wasn't even trying to be tough. He just froze. Okay, everybody gets down but him. In fact, he's confused why everybody's getting down. Like, he's frozen.
I believe it was a robbery, though. It was just like a random ass robbery, and it was a coincidence or something.
The gunman keeps screaming at him, give up your jewelry, about $40,000 in jewelry.
Shit.
Tupac, some say he's not having it. Some say he was frozen in shock. It's unclear, but they end up shooting him in the groin, then in the hand, twice in the head. The bullet does not penetrate his skull. Biggie, Diddy, and a few other bad boy artists had been there working on their upcoming album called Conspiracy. So he goes up afterwards because the police show up and the police hate him. He's been very anti-police, and he's a very famous figure. So police and Tupac don't go well.
So those 5 shots, though, are they trying to kill him? Like you say, there's 2 to the head and
I thought
hand.
they just shot his ass.
It's unclear. Technically, it was supposed to just be a robbery.
Yeah.
But the shots to the head, that is...
They were also like kicking him. It feels like there was a lot of hatred there.
Right. And they must know who he is, too.
Oh, yeah.
course they do.
And it was all planned because he arrives, he gets shot. It's all planned, right?
Okay.
My recollection of the story was I was shooting a video of the second half of Warning. So I saw him saying what's up to me. I'm about to get on the elevator, and he comes out shot.
The shooting was carried out by someone that he is having trouble with, a former friend of his under associate decided to come at Tupac. But the problem is the Bad Boy Records artists were there. And Tupac felt like if something were to happen to Biggie in the West Coast, Tupac would know about it. He would get word. Like if someone is planning on robbing Biggie, Tupac would know. That's how small it is, the world is, this hip hop world. And they're that big. They're on top of the game, right?
Right.
He's saying, how am I in New York getting robbed, getting shot? Bad Boy is in the same building, and you're telling me not a single one of them knew that this was about to go down?
I feel the same,
Right,
bro.
right. Like they must have their own security details or just their own members around to make sure they're safe even.
Yeah.
So how do you not know there's people like ready to do this in the same building?
On top of that, the guy that actually was involved in the incident, the alleged gunman, he was seen in Notorious B.I.G.'s music videos later. So it's like, not only did you kind of know, but like you probably still hung out with these people afterwards, which is just weird. Now, some people think that Tupac was being over dramatic and that maybe Biggie didn't know.
Cause over dramatic, my ass, niggas just robbed me and shot me. Whatever comes after that, I think it's gonna be valid. Like, y'all niggas never got shot before. You talking about some niggas talking about some, oh, you're being over dramatic, Pac. It wasn't a robbery. You're being over dramatic. Like,
I will say, I don't know if Biggie knew. Most people say that Biggie didn't know.
I don't think he did
Most
know.
people say that Diddy knew, though.
Yeah, cause the thing was, he was in there writing. This is what I heard. Like, he was in there writing for Junior Mafia, and Puff was mad as shit because Puff had the royalties and all like the stuff around Biggie. So if Biggie writes some shit, it goes to Puff. And Puff, and like I think Biggie was like sneaking around trying to help them with the album, and Puff ain't know until he knew. And then Puff came, and then bang 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 happened, and just like, you know, like
Biggie genuinely liked Tupac is the vibe that people are saying. But he sees Biggie and he feels like Biggie is involved. After the shooting, Tupac gets sentenced for the SA charge, which, side note, after the shooting, the two were on weird terms, Tupac and Biggie. Some people would say, no, Biggie ran into the lobby with his gun to try and defend Tupac earlier. Like, it was crazy. Others would allege Biggie knew, but he didn't know what to do. Others confirm, I don't know about Biggie, but Diddy knew. Like, he was nodding, like he knew what was going on.
of course he knew. Like,
Regardless, after healing from his wounds, I don't think Tupac had a lot of time to confront Biggie or even think about Biggie because his SA trial is going on in New York City. He even leaves the hospital against the advice of doctors to attend court. Ultimately, he does get convicted and is sentenced. Now, this is where it gets very, very messy. And what feels like the very, very soon after Tupac's sentencing, Biggie drops a song called Who Shot Ya?
oh my gosh.
Some notable lyrics include East Coast motherfuckers, bad boy motherfuckers, who shot you? Separate the weak from the obsolete. Hard to creep them Brooklyn streets. All that bickering beef. One false move gets Swiss cheesed up. Fucking with B.I.G. it ain't safe. Big Papa smash fools, bash fools, everything around me, 2 Glock 9s. There's another line where he says, you rewind this, bad boys behind this.
The whole killers, they told him not to fucking perform that song, and he did. Why did he perform that song, bro? I don't remember what happened in the movie or like from what was being said. Oh my gosh. I thought it had something to do with faith. I don't remember. Wait, no. Oh yeah, Who Shot You did come first. I'm like, why did you do that?
Get high, motherfuckers. Ready to die, motherfuckers. You'll die slow but calm. Open your fucking mouth. Didn't I tell you? Don't fuck with me? Which, like, why the hell would Biggie release that if he had nothing to do with Tupac's shooting and had no bad feelings towards him?
Exactly.
According to Gene Deal, Diddy's bodyguard at the time, he believes that wasn't Biggie's choice.
Yeah.
He's not the record label owner. He's an artist. He doesn't get a say. He says this song was produced for a previous album and they took it down because it was just way too violent. And Diddy thought,
Drop the
that's
beat.
the perfect time to release it.
Uh-huh.
It's going to get so much attention, so many plays.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is from Gene Deal's
like,
perspective,
yo,
allegedly, right?
fuck.
It's going to bring in so much money because it's starting this beef. Of course, I mean, look at what happened with Drake and Kendrick Lamar recently. Beef sells tapes.
Yeah. He's such an opportunist too.
Yes.
I don't want to talk about that. That nigga Kendrick told Drake, "Don't do what you're doing," and then nigga Drake did it, and
This would be the misunderstanding that starts everything. Because Tupac didn't hate Biggie when he went to jail. He just felt like it was weird. He felt like Biggie must have known about it. It was weird, right? Now, Tupac is in prison. He hears from everyone. Biggie just released this track. He admitted that he shot you and was now like teasing you while you're in prison. In fact, while he's in prison, Biggie is out there bragging about all of it. These records and all this. It's crazy. This is what Tupac is being told. Naturally, Tupac feels betrayed. And while Tupac is in prison, Biggie takes over the hip hop world. Now, this is where things get interesting. He's in prison for like a year and a half, by the way. Some people think that Biggie had nothing to do with the shooting and, again, had no idea that this song was going to go out, or he kind of greenlit it, not thinking it was going to be a big deal. However, it is not just the artists that are fighting. It's not just Tupac and Biggie that are fighting. Suge Knight, the owner of Death Row Records, that Tupac gets signed to in prison. So he's not signed with Suge Knight yet. He's signed with Interscope Records from earlier that MGK
oh my gosh. And then that's when the Source Awards, the 1995 Source Awards, the niggas of the... Oh, shit.
Now, Suge wanted someone to compete with Biggie. And it had to be Tupac. He doesn't know anybody else. He's saying that Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, they're so talented, but there's something about, some people just have that musicality. They have that lyricism. It comes to them so naturally. Suge,
which is fucking crazy because Doggy Style is deemed like one of the best hip hop albums ever. That came out in like what, 93, 94?
He mainly does this because he likes money, let's be real. He likes his business and he wants to take over Bad Boy Records. He wants Death Row to be a monopoly. He's thinking of starting a Death Row East Coast to take over that side. And he might have a vendetta against Diddy as well. He says that he and Diddy were actually very cool with each other. Like they would pick each other up from the airport when they would visit the other coast.
That's crazy.
You know?
What
And
the fuck
some people
happened
don't
between
like... Okay, I'm going to break it down. It's a little confusing. Back then, East Coast was the originator of hip hop, is how they like to claim. I don't know. Okay.
Stephanie, hip hop came in the park. Hip hop began in the park. New York. That's why New Yorkers on that type of shit. That's why.
They state that this is where all the biggest hip hop artists were coming out of. Now, when there would be talented artists on the West Coast, they felt frustrated that they're not getting attention because they're not from the East Coast. And sometimes the East Coast rappers would make fun of the West Coast rappers. Like they're...
And also you had to go through New York to get your shit out. So like people in the West Coast had to come to the New York radio to get their stuff out. That's another reason why I'm like, bro, like, fuck. Like, and also, I think historically, I believe West Coast hip hop wasn't taken too seriously as they should have been. So they had that chip on their shoulder. And then boom, at the Source Awards, you have Andre 3000 talk about the South got something to say in Atlanta, and then him with Big Boy and them, like all this other stuff. And you got Goody Mob and all, like,
they're just wannabes. So there was always this competition, but they always tried to help each other. Suge would even offer Diddy and his crew protection when they came out to perform on the West Coast.
That's cool.
There were a lot of groups of people, perhaps organized groups of people, that would use this music to represent everything
gangs.
that they stood for and what coast they stood for.
Gangs.
You get it. So for years, out of the goodness of Suge's heart, he says, which take that as you will, because Suge Knight is in prison for manslaughter right now. So I don't know how much goodness he has in his heart. But he felt that once Diddy and Biggie got big, Diddy wanted to charge Suge Knight for everything, even though he helped him get big. Now Suge Knight is like, hey, can you come to the West Coast to perform at a show? He's like, oh, I got to charge an appearance fee. And it's like, what about all the times that I helped you without charging you? Suddenly you want to act like you're not indebted to me at all? Is the feeling that Suge Knight has. Rightfully so or not?
No, it's rightfully so, because I think when you go over to the West Coast, you got to check in sometimes. And some people will be cool, but like, nigga, you gonna have to pay that back somehow. You can't just be too Hollywood. Like, niggas is not too big to get touched, bro. They killed Nip. They killed Big. They killed Pac. Like, nobody's too high powered to get touched.
I don't know, but Suge Knight is pissed. He feels like Diddy owes him. To be completely transparent, Suge Knight is also known as a bully in the game. That's how he's described. Some people think that Diddy and Suge are cut from the same cloth. It's like comparing a terminal illness to a different kind of terminal illness. They're both cancers in society. They're both terrifying.
I don't want to be called no cancer. Oh my goodness.
Both are ruthless. Both get what they want no matter what. But other netizens argue two key differences. One, Suge Knight never pretends that he didn't do everything for himself. Like, you know who you're getting into bed with when you get into bed with Suge Knight. Whereas Diddy does so much PR to be brother love. And two, from what the public knows, Suge is someone who hurt and exploited people. No question. He was a quote-unquote gangster. But Diddy did all of that, and he's an alleged sexual criminal on top of that. Side note, Suge Knight has been arrested multiple times and charged with domestic violence, so keep that in your mind. But that's just what netizens have been stating. Now, Suge Knight signs Tupac in prison and pays a $1.5 million bail to get him out. That's another part of the conspiracy. People are like, why is his bail so high?
Yeah, what the fuck? Why is this bail so high? When you have like a 1.5, you only get to pay like 10 or 20%. Why the fuck is his bail so high? See, this is like, nigga, what?
Because usually people with these types of charges, he got convicted, he's appealing it, and he could get out on bail while the appeal is being, worked.
And also, he went to jail for 1.5 years. That is, what the fuck? Or did he just pay
rich,
that?
No?
Yeah, some people say that, but he wasn't that rich at the time.
Oh.
Yeah. He pays the bail.
The whole bail.
Interscope Records, the massive record company that he was signed with, did not want to because he wasn't mainstream enough for them. They didn't like the risk. Suge Knight pays the bail, and immediately he comes out, signs with Death Row Records, and both of them are ready to take down Bad Boy. And they're very vocal about it. At a music awards, Suge Knight tells the East Coast artists to come to Death Row Records. Unless you want your executive to dance in your videos and be in all of the thumbnails of your records. He didn't say the thumbnail part.
All in your videos, all at your shows, sign a bro.
Most of Biggie's songs on YouTube, if you go right now, they have Diddy on the thumbnail. Like, why does Notorious B.I.G.'s song called Nasty Girl, why is the thumbnail two women whispering into Diddy's ear?
Biggie's not in there?
No.
Just Diddy?
Yeah.
Is Diddy singing in there?
A lot of the songs that he's in, he's not even singing. He's just like dancing around Biggie.
What?
I mean, he's like a producer, but it's just like he's the ghost of Christmas past. Why are you always there? It feels like, what is the purpose? He's not singing, really. He's not really dancing. Sometimes he'd be in the car driving. Biggie's in the passenger seat rapping. And then all of a sudden, Diddy would be like, hell yeah. And that's it.
Hell yeah.
It's weird.
So that's what Suge Knight was saying.
Yeah, like, what are you doing? Why are you, like, you're weird. You're like a corny executive is what they're calling him. Like, are you a hallucination? Why are you always there? It's just bizarre. What's the purpose? Diddy would later state that he was at the awards show. He said he was shocked that Suge said that because he thought they were friends. Regardless, the East Coast versus West Coast war, battle, if you will, was ignited. And really, without much of their own say, Tupac and Biggie become the faces of it. Tupac of the West Coast, Biggie of the East Coast. There are further allegations that Suge Knight might have been seeing one of Diddy's ex-girlfriends and the mother of his child, Justin Combs' mom, Misa Hilton. Do you remember from the last episode?
Yeah.
Suge Knight was allegedly seeing Misa Hilton, and they have pictures of Suge Knight hanging out with not just Misa Hilton, but Diddy's son.
Boy, I'd be mad as shit. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I hate, you know what's crazy? Guys be so conniving. It's not just women, bro. Oh my God, don't play with my fucking son, bro. If we have a problem, don't play with my kids. Like, it is what it is. If you with my ex girl, like, she has a right to her own body. But come on, cuz don't play with my fucking kids, bro. Like, that's so conniving. I don't like that. I don't like that shit at all.
Justin.
Ugh.
And they wanted to run magazine ads with that picture and a caption to read, the East Coast can't even take care of their own.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so it's getting really dirty really quick.
Niggas playing
Some state
internet
that
games.
Suge was actually protecting Misa from Diddy because others allege that Diddy was very violent with Misa. But like I said, Suge seems to be violent with women as well, or he has a record of being violent with women. And others state that Suge was just doing it to get back at Diddy. But after all of this, after Suge Knight publicly insults Bad Boy and Diddy, the next month, Suge Knight's friend Jake Robles is shot and killed at a party in Atlanta.
Oh shit.
Allegedly by Diddy's bodyguard, Anthony Wolf Jones. The one that was also at the Manhattan shooting with Jennifer
shit.
Lopez. Same bodyguard.
He was the
The
muscle.
bodyguard shot?
That's the allegation.
Nigga, the
Other people
muscle
are saying,
thing.
no, it was a different guy. That's also Diddy's longtime friend. But Suge Knight's best friend is killed at a party in Atlanta by someone who is apparently on Diddy's side. Now, it was later disputed, and Diddy vehemently denies it, saying, that's insane. Why would I have his friend killed? I have too much to lose. I fear God too much. It's just getting very messy. It just feels like the record labels have a lot more skin in the game, whereas Tupac and Biggie were friends who had a falling out and everything just escalates from there. I will say that most people believe that Suge Knight and Diddy were encouraging this anger from both sides.
It's also crazy because these people, these record labels, just watching this shit happen. You don't think the record labels know what's going on here? They're watching this shit happen. Just like they be watching these niggas kill each other and then rap on songs and incriminate themselves. They're watching this shit happen, not doing shit about it. Just watching, paying the bail, as long as it gets the money. And then if they die, they start releasing more music because you want to know why? Because they make more music. I mean, they make more money dropping music when they're dead.
Whereas Tupac and Biggie, if they had sat down, I think that they could have talked it out. I mean, even the way that Tupac talks about it in an interview, he sounds more betrayed. He brings up the fact that he was the one that gave Biggie his first shows. As for having beef with Biggie, Tupac says, you know, Suge Knight told me something enlightening the other day. Having beef with Bad Boy Records is like going to a playground and picking on the kids. Tupac says he sees himself like a big brother to Biggie. He can't have beef with him because he grew up and made money. He's mad at Biggie because he disrespected Tupac. That's it. That's why he's mad. He said Biggie got seduced by the power, not because he's an evil person, but because money is evil if it's not handled right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Fear got stronger than love, and they did things that they know they weren't supposed to do. They know in their heart. That's why they're in hell now. They can't sleep. That's why they're telling all the reporters, why are they doing this to us and to hip hop, da 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 da. Because they're in hell. They can't make money. They can't look at themselves because they know. All I ask for is, if you're gonna act like a gangster, you're gonna act like the king of New York, I'm gonna expect that. And when you don't come through, then I'm gonna wanna crush your empire. And that's what it's time for. All 5 bullets touched me, but you couldn't kill me. So all you did was just give me more ambition, more drive. You're really not gonna be able to stop me now.
You can't get mad at this nigga for popping this shit, bro. I'm sorry. Like, yo, I was about to say, what's his sign? Because there's, oh my.
For the ones that shot me, thanks but no thanks. I'm still alive. You missed. I'm hard to kill.
That's
he does go on to
crazy.
state, but he does love the East Coast. He was actually born in the East Coast. He was born in Harlem.
Oh, he was
Get
born.
even messier if you
Oh,
can
my
imagine.
bad. Sorry, he was born in Harlem, but he moved to Baltimore. Sorry.
A week after
My bad.
Tupac is released from prison,
Sorry.
it's alleged that Biggie's wife, Faith Evans, who is signed with Bad Boy Records, the one that's on the song I'll Be Missing You, she flies out to LA for work, runs into Tupac, and it's alleged that the two of them would end up sleeping together. Faith Evans has always denied this
Yeah, I
story.
thought that didn't
Which, side
happen.
note, they were actually supposed to meet each other. Faith said that she had Biggie's go-ahead to go to LA and work with Tupac on his album. So-
After all of this?
Yeah, I don't know if Diddy was the one that was mainly having anger towards everybody, but it seems like Biggie at that time, I guess, if this is true, if he did give the go-ahead, he seems like, oh yeah, this is just music to get sales. Like, we're just...
What I thought was like everything was calm and Pac like had a salacious thing and like made it salacious just to like insinuate it. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I thought happened. But I mean, hey, if she fucked dude, then I mean, hey, that's her body, shit. But if she said she didn't, she didn't. So
just beefing with each other to get sales, quote unquote. And it's alleged that those who saw them in the studio, Faith was sitting on Tupac's lap.
Oh.
This is not a great part in this, but Tupac would tell the New York Times, in an interview that Biggie's wife bought him this new shirt and a new suit, and he did enough in terms of thanking her.
Yo.
Which you can kind of
God
draw the
dang,
connections
bro.
there.
Yeah.
Now, there's different versions of what happens after that. Some state that Biggie was very upset and potentially violent with Faith when this New York Times article came out. Others state that he understood Faith was put in this weird position because all of these rumors, and this is the West Coast just trying to with Biggie because of the song Who Shot You, and things just start escalating quicker and quicker. Very soon after that, Tupac releases his second album, All Eyes on Me. This album would actually outsell Biggie's previous album, making him the most successful rapper. Death Row Records was back on top after this release. There was a confrontation at a music awards show in LA, but thankfully nobody was injured. Guns were drawn. It's alleged that Biggie was confronted by Tupac and Suge, while Diddy just ran up out of there, which Biggie was allegedly upset with because what the hell was that? But Diddy allegedly told him, I can't be caught up in a gunplay. It's not good for business. After that, it seems like things calm down. Things are getting better. At future events, Suge would just kind of side sweep all these comments about Diddy saying, look, there's nothing between Death Row and Bad Boy or me and Puff. Death Row sells volume, so how could Puffy be a threat to me or Bad Boy be a threat to Death Row? But the next month, everything blows up when Tupac releases a track called Hit 'Em Up. It is one of the most well-known rap songs. It's a pretty scathing response to Biggie's song. Notable lyrics include, and it kicks off strong, I effed your bitch, you fat motherfucker. West Side, bad boy killers. You claim to be a player, but I fucked your wife. He also name drops Lil' Kim, who is notably a music icon in her own right, like I said, but also the alleged mistress in the relationship with Faith Evans and Biggie. He name drops her. There's also another play on words. Biggie has this very famous song called Player's Anthem, where he says, grab your dicks if you love hip hop. Tupac raps, grab your Glocks when you see Tupac. Call the cops when you see Tupac. Who shot me? But you punks didn't finish. 5 shots couldn't drop me. I took it and smiled. Now I'm gonna set the record straight. Now you tell them who won. I see them, they run. They don't wanna f with us. Biggie, Bad Boy, as a staff, record label, and as a mother crew. And if you wanna be down with Bad Boy, then f you too. West Side till we die. It is often referred to as, quote, the hardest diss track. Netizens have stated the diss tracks between Kendrick Lamar and Drake pale in comparison to the pure anger and betrayal that you can feel Tupac has.
I mean, yeah. But you also got Kendrick calling this nigga a pedophile and literally dropping a anthem. By the way, I think Not Like Us is probably the biggest diss track now. This nigga got the whole world calling Drake a pedophile. That shit is that's pretty big, bro. That's pretty big. Then he started talking about his family, like this, and he's probably gonna do that during the Super Bowl. I don't know, man. I don't really want to do apples to apples, but hey, this year in rap was fucking insane.
Some people say rightfully so. Some people say it's misplaced. But again,
I don't think
it's just a song.
That.
To which Diddy does an interview about the song, and he tries to reason with the reporter that it's just gone too far. He says, if I'm going to set a man up to get shot, which I would never do, I'm not going to be in the country. I'm going to be in Bolivia somewhere. He says, I hope that THUG life shit is really over, but on the real, if you're going to be a motherfucking, you gotta live and die. You know what I'm saying? There ain't no jumping in and out of that THUG life. If that's what you choose to do, you're going to go out like that. I'm not one. The only ones I know are dead or in jail or about to be. But now the public is even more invested in the situation between the two. Bad Boy Records employees even receive death threats at this point, which one ex-employee says, I don't recall reading in the employee manual that dodging bullets was part of my job description. Tupac goes on to do an interview where he states he believes he knows the police know who shot him, but they're doing nothing about it. He says, I already know who shot me. Everybody knows who shot me. The police know who shot me. But that situation, what comes around goes around. I believe in karma. I believe in all of that. I'm not worried about it. They missed. I'm not worried about it unless they come back. And by some accounts, they do come back.
Yeah.
September 7th, 1996, at the Mike Tyson-Bruce Seldon fight at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, Tupac is shot 4 times in the streets of Vegas. He was sitting in the passenger seat of Suge Knight's car. Tupac allegedly had a previous run-in with the Crips gang at the casino. They had a brief fight.
He beat
They're separated, pulled apart. Suge and Tupac are headed to this new club. They're driving. After this fight, they're driving away. Cadillac pulls up, and a gunman fires 14 shots into the car. Tupac is hit 4 times. Suge Knight is injured with a bullet fragment that hits him in the head, but he is not directly shot. 6 days later, Tupac dies from his injuries. He's only 25 years old. The conspiracies that he's still alive, it appears, are fueled understandably by a combination of wishful thinking and the way that his estate was able to continuously release his back catalog posthumously. Snoop Dogg revealed when he went to see Tupac in the hospital, they were going through a rough patch. Like they'd always loved each other, but it was just complicated.
I drove down there to the hospital because I wanted to see my, you know what I'm saying, make sure he was straight. I'm thinking that he was gonna make it.
And he said when I walked in, I could just feel Tupac wasn't there, and I fainted. And his mother pulled me aside, Tupac's mother, and reminded me how strong I was. She was like, my baby ain't never seen you weak. I don't want you to be weak in front of him. You go in the bathroom, you fix yourself up, and you go back in there, and you talk to him, and you tell him how you feel.
That's Tupac's mom is comforting
Snoop Dogg, yeah.
I said a little prayer to him in his head and held his hand and whispered at him, you know, said my piece with him. You know, he didn't have no consciousness, but I felt like my spirit and his spirit connected, and I felt like he got it.
And Tupac is dead. His mom even said, my son called me every night. I haven't received a phone call in years. That's how I know it to be true.
Fuck.
In regards to the conspiracy theories.
Yeah, I was about to say, he gotta call his mom, right? Like, if he actually faked his death, like, he's gonna contact his mom somehow. There's like, bro, like, oh my gosh.
Okay, my name is Tupac Shakur, and I'm 17 years old. My mother taught me 3 things: respect, knowledge, search for knowledge. It's an eternal journey. That's like my haircut, the line. 360 degrees, find knowledge, always. And she taught me to not be quiet. To, if there's something in my mind, speak it. That's what that was the breath. She always taught, but also to listen. And she told me this little joke that God gave you 2 ears to listen and 1 mouth to speak. So she taught me respect, knowledge, and understanding, mostly, you know, just listen a lot.
Briefly, the main suspect was the guy that had a run-in at the casino, that got into a physical fight hours before Tupac's murder. His name is Orlando Anderson. He's a gang member. Now, officers were told by everybody, oh yeah, the shooter is Orlando Anderson, which they were like, okay, thank you so much for letting us know. We're gonna do absolutely nothing about it.
This shit was a mystery for years.
They arrest him for a few hours, but they're like, I do think that the police didn't care.
They ain't give a fuck.
Hated Tupac, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
it was
they
said
did
that
not like
even when
that
Tupac
nigga.
was shot the first time in New York City at the Quad Studio, there was a police officer that came, did not like him, and was basically laughing at him, taunting him as he's being taken away on a stretcher to the ambulance. Officers were told that it was Orlando Anderson. They do detain him for like a few hours and then let him go.
From 1995 to date, have you ever ridden in a white Cadillac? No. You know anyone who owns a white Cadillac? No.
And they do nothing about it. It's just strange. For 2 years, they barely look into him to figure.
It's not strange. The police hated him, bro. They hated that nigga. God dang.
Figure out if he's involved, which he likely was. And if he was he ordered or hired by someone else to do it? Because he's part of this gang. And it's known that he's a high-level person in this gang. He's not just going to go rogue typically. So what is this? The authorities don't even pretend like they're interested. Instead, they wait it out. And then 2 years later, Orlando Anderson is dead. He's shot in a gang-related shootout that is unrelated to Tupac's death, but now he's dead. And one might presume, okay, put the dots together. That's so embarrassing, right? So the LVPD, the Las Vegas Police Department, said investigators have reason to believe that the altercation had no connection to the shooting. But people are like, what are you saying right now? That doesn't even make any sense. And they just keep pushing it off. Now, the death of Tupac would make the East versus West Coast rivalry reach its peak. There's a big reaction to this. I don't know if I want to call it, because there is actually a different conflict that's called by this, but some LA police have said it was the 10-day conflict where it was gang shootouts nonstop.
I thought this was the 100 days, 100 nights thing. I was about to say, oh my gosh. Oh my goodness.
Between the rival gangs, because it feels like they took out your representative, you know?
I see.
So there needs to be payback. There needs to be eye for an eye. Meanwhile, Diddy is very busy stating he has nothing to do with this. He says, we were shocked at first and we were hurt. It was like, damn, why did that have to happen? Then we were scared because we know how the media is. We're the ones that they're pointing their fingers to. Kept on talking about it. I don't have nothing to do with Tupac getting killed. Which is crazy because in 2023, they're going to arrest someone who was allegedly in that car that gave the order that night. And he says, Keefe D says, Diddy was going to pay me $1 million to do it. But it seems at that time, Biggie had no idea about any of this. Witnesses who were around him when he found out that Tupac had been shot, they said Biggie was nervous and hopeful. He tried to reason, maybe just to himself. It's okay. He'd been shot before. It was fine. He survived. He's going to survive this one. He's fine. Once it was confirmed that Tupac was gone, it's alleged by Faith Evans that Biggie called her. His voice was so low and small and he was sobbing. And he just kept saying, something ain't right, Faye. Shit got fucked up somewhere along the way, but that was my man. This is where things get stranger. 2 days after Tupac's death, Biggie gets arrested for marijuana possession. They do get out in a few days, but when they do, the car that the cops had taken in, it won't start anymore. So Biggie and his friend, they go over to a dealership to get a rental car. It's like this big old Chrysler white van because they have to drive all the way from New York City to New Jersey. They need a car.
Damn.
They rent this old van, and on the highway, they get into a large accident, causing Biggie to fracture his leg. The accident is bad enough that he had to be cut out of the van.
Oh, shit.
They had to come cut him out.
What the
So for the
fuck?
next 2 months, he's in rehab. He finds faith, not his wife, but he finds God. I mean, I think the situation with Tupac, he's just trying to change his life. I think it's this feeling of waking up because what are we doing here? Like, I'm gonna die if I keep going down this route. Like, it was never that serious. What is happening right now? He had a cane that he needed to walk with, and he would just
that's why
stay
he had
home
that
or
cane.
in the studio working on his next album. He was getting death threats every single day from the West Coast. And I'm not saying like West Coast hasn't Suge Knight, potentially, but like the ones that are sending death threats are like the gangs that resonate with Tupac.
That's how real it is. I think somebody's trying to kill me. I'll be waking up paranoid. I'll be really scared. You know, you be seeing me scared to death.
He's just working on his next album, Life After Death, which he's gonna die soon. This will actually be released after he dies.
He named the album Life After Death.
Oh, this is even creepier. His first album with Bad Boy Records is Ready to Die. Then his second album that's released after he's killed is Life After Death.
But he started working on this album, naming it that name because of Tupac's death.
No.
Oh, no, it's not.
No, just Life After Death. It was about just reincarnating, which will be eerie, you know. But before this album is released, Tupac's album is released posthumously. So he's passed, but he had this in the vault. It's the 7-day theory under the name Machiavelli, because obviously these are done by Tupac. He had no intention of passing. He didn't know it was going to happen. There are a lot of disses towards Bad Boy scattered throughout the whole album. In fact, on the back, you have cartoon characters of Biggie and Diddy. Diddy is wearing a pink ballerina dress.
I remember
and
seeing
he's
this
dancing,
shit.
while Biggie is depicted as a pig, and his beanie says P.I.G.
Oh
instead
my
of like
gosh.
Notorious B.I.G.
I
it says
remember
P.I.G.
seeing this before. Oh
Biggie
my
does not
goodness.
respond. In fact, he goes on to interviews to talk about how Tupac's death has enlightened him, if you will, because he realized it's not just two guys that have issues with each other, but they ignited this whole coast-to-coast rivalry. He says, I kind of realized how powerful me and Pac was.
Bro, the common denominator is always Diddy. Like, nigga. Oh my gosh.
which is very valid. But that statement isn't really going to calm down the West Coast or the East Coast. And at its height, the West Coast just want payback. They want to take one out on the East Coast. And the East Coast feels defensive because Tupac is the one that was accusing Biggie in the first place, and the tensions just keep getting worse. Biggie's got this new album coming out, and Diddy is allegedly telling him, you have to go to LA to promote this new album.
No.
That is crazy.
He wasn't supposed to go.
A lot of people were confused by, because technically he doesn't have to go to LA to promote this album. And so soon after Tupac's death, 6 months after Tupac's death, a lot of people would say that is very ill-advised.
He didn't have to go.
Because he's getting death threats. They're telling him, don't come to California. You come to California, you're going to find out what California is about.
Did Diddy go?
Kill you, bro.
Okay, it seems like Biggie really did not want to go. He actually scheduled like a press conference in Europe. He was going to go to Europe. They canceled that trip so that he would go to LA. He didn't want to go to LA. He didn't even really want to go to Europe. He didn't want to be on a plane. He still has that leg injury. And Biggie's like a big dude, is how Gene Deal describes him, and says, sitting on a plane, even in first class, he's not going to be comfortable. Like, he doesn't want to travel. He doesn't want to be outside. It's just weird. So they end up doing all these meetings, these press tours, and then eventually one night Diddy is like, hey, we got to go to a party. Biggie's like, I don't want to go to a party. I don't want to do any of these things. But for some reason...
How do we know these exact details?
Gene Deal, the former bodyguard, was Diddy's bodyguard. The day he was there, he was holding Big's body when he died. Biggie's body.
So that's his first person encounter. Okay.
But still alleged, but first person encounter. The bodyguard, Gene Deal, says he was going to go ride with Biggie because the whole time he said in LA, he was telling Diddy, we don't have enough protection for Biggie. Like, Biggie's the one getting all the threats. It's not really you, Diddy. Sorry, no offense. But like, we need more protection for Biggie. But Gene Deal was specifically hired to protect Diddy. And he seems like the type of guy that's pretty punctual with his job. He's like, I like to dot my I's and, whatever, cross my T's. So he's like, I'm going to go in the car with Biggie on the way to the party. Because everybody knows we're going to that party. Right. So I'm going to be in the car. And Diddy allegedly forced him, no, you're riding with me unless you never want a job again. He gets into Diddy's car. And he alleges that Diddy was riding very low. Like, he had popped his chair all the way down, which was weird.
Wow. So this former bodyguard is basically, pointing fingers at Diddy without like actually saying that Diddy did it.
Yes. So there's a mix of people. There are some people who think Diddy facilitated Biggie's death. Some people think he just knew it was going to happen and he just needed to make sure it wasn't him and he wasn't going to stop it. So they're traveling in separate cars. Diddy and Biggie are in separate cars. That is when, at a red light, similar to Tupac, Biggie is shot and killed. He is shot 4 times.
God dang.
That's bigger than him. That is bigger than him. Y'all get down. That is bigger than him. Somebody got shot. Y'all get down. That is bigger than him.
Diddy's version of events is, so we're going out to the parking lot and my car's in front of his car. I make a right. He's right behind us, but not right behind us. We get to a light and we're waiting there for him. And then this car pulls up. Then we cross the light. As we're crossing the light, I hear shots ring out. I duck down. I'm thinking someone's shooting. And I've been at parties before where people do that, shoot in the air. And then somebody in the car looked back. Biggie's car had been hit. I jumped out the car while the car is moving. So I run towards the car and it's just him and his best friend. Everybody else had jumped out the car and ran. His best friend Damien is there. And I'm like, I'm here. And Biggie slouched over and I'm trying to push him because he's real big and he got caught under the steering wheel. So me and Damien are trying to push him off. I'm yelling, where's the hospital? We're driving to the hospital. I'm talking to him, touching him. I'm not feeling nothing. And due to the fact that I've seen people actually die, seen that happen, I could kind of feel like it was death. It's like a feeling that you get. I can't really describe to you. It's not a gift that I'm proud of having.
It's not a good feeling.
I was like, damn, I think he's dead. I'm saying it inside myself. So we get to the hospital, running lights, everything. We carrying him inside. And we were there for maybe like half an hour. Then doctors come and tell us the news. I was on my knees praying the whole time. I was just stuck. I couldn't understand. It gets worse though. I had Damien call Biggie's mother. And then in the middle of telling her, Damien breaks down. So I had to tell her.
Who's Damien?
Biggie's best friend that was in the car.
Who's C's?
Thankfully alive. So I had to calm her down and try and get somebody over to the house. Biggie was just 24 years old. Tupac was 25. Diddy would talk frequently about Biggie's murder. He would say that dealing with the trauma and the stress really pushed him to release his debut album, No Way Out. He had always been more of a producer and executive.
You know what's crazy? I thought about that album title when the article of that charity event. It said No Way Out at the beginning of it. Y'all seen that shit, right? Y'all saw that, right?
Until Biggie died, and then he released No Way Out with the song I'll Be Missing You, the tribute to Biggie. He says, I think I always feel some sort of responsibility because I'm in this thing with him. He was my artist. Diddy says after Biggie's murder, he had to channel Biggie's mother. He says, I saw the strength in Biggie's mother. If she isn't giving up, if she's not jumping off a bridge, she's having to get up and go to work, still take care of her kids.
And she said
I've
don't
got
like
to get
that nigga?
myself together.
His
Now,
mom don't
even
like that
back
nigga.
then, there were a lot of conspiracies of what happened. Some people believed face value. The East Coast had someone take out Tupac.
Nah.
So the West Coast retaliated and took out Biggie.
Say it, Stephanie.
Right?
Say it.
But there were other conspiracies of what happened. The first being that Suge Knight took out his own artist, Tupac.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why would
So
he do that?
The allegation being the record label owner of Death Row Records knew that Tupac was going to leave, was going to leave his label, start his own label, and had him killed. I know some people really believe in it. I don't know why. Like, I was reading through netizen theories. I just believe not that one for some reason.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
don't
saying
believe
Suge Knight
that.
is a good person, right? But it seems like the connection that Tupac had to him and his rather lack of indifference for money and hoarding money, it just doesn't sound that accurate. There were a lot of convincing netizens that were like, I mean, Suge Knight's not a good guy. And honestly, Tupac would have been better off without Suge Knight. But they don't think that Suge Knight was the one that ordered that hit. They think it was Diddy or somebody else. Then there are a small group of people, there were brief allegations that the goal wasn't even to kill Tupac that night. It was to kill Suge Knight. He was the real target. The theory goes that Suge Knight's ex-wife and the former head of security of Death Row,
Oh, shit.
I don't know if they had a thing, but the conspiracy goes that they had planned to kill Suge Knight so that they could take control over the label.
Oh.
Both have denied the
What
accusation.
the hell?
It was just a floating theory.
What the
Most
hell?
people believed that Diddy was involved. But then when Biggie died, it was confusing. The West Coast felt like, okay, maybe it's West Coast versus East Coast, something happened there. This is back then. But those close to Diddy said, we don't know if that's entirely true. They allege Notorious B.I.G. was planning on leaving
Yes,
Bad Boy.
say
In
it.
fact, he had already hired attorneys and
Yes.
they were trying to get his publishing rights back from Diddy. Some even go on further to allege that Biggie did not like what Diddy did with all the Tupac stuff, releasing the song Who Shot You, like generating all this drama and then getting people killed. Like, he didn't like that. He didn't like everything that was happening there, in which Diddy allegedly told Biggie's attorneys, I will never give up his publishing rights until I'm dead and my bones are crushed into powder.
You know, I believe before he got arrested, he was giving people their publishing back. I think. I think.
And I think it's true. I don't know specifically, but it seems like Tupac's family and his estate have been able to have more control over his legacy and have been able to continue that family line for Tupac. Whereas for Biggie's case, it seems like Diddy still has a lot of control of his estate. I don't know if he gave it up recently when he was saying he's giving all his publishing rights back, remember? Right before the Cassie lawsuit, he was like, I'm such a good person, I'm going to give artists all their publishing rights back.
30 years
Turned
later.
out to be a very sleazy move because he's asking all these artists, hey, you want your publishing rights back? Sign this crazy NDA where you can never speak about me publicly.
Shit.
Wow.
Shit.
But I don't know, maybe he took care of Biggie's family. I don't know.
Nah.
I don't know. Like, I'm not Biggie's family. I don't know if they feel some type of way about him, but it just
They
seems...
haven't spoken up, right?
They have spoken up about, like, the video of him beating Cassie.
What did they say?
Biggie's mom said, if I see him, I want to slap him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll get there. Now, according to some that knew the situation, said Biggie was absolutely going to leave Puff. I know for a fact because Biggie told me that. The bodyguard, Gene Deal, said that. Everybody wanted to leave Puffy. Everybody always leaves Puffy. Which, side note, there is some foreshadowing because everybody does leave Diddy. It seems like he only has like 3 artists still signed under Bad Boy. 2 of them are his own sons. Even Machine Gun Kelly left him to start his own label.
Oh, so he doesn't have that many artists. I thought he has so many.
He has all the publishing rights. So he's making money off their like royalties, I guess.
Oh, you're saying they
she ain't
signed
mentioned Mace at all. Huh?
Yes. And then he's like, oh, I'll give you your publishing rights back for those
She
songs.
ain't mentioned Mace at all. Damn.
Yeah. Now, Suge Knight would later state along the lines of, when Tupac died, he lost a lot, including a lot of money. Death Row Records lost a lot of money. So it seems like maybe the Tupac estate had some sort of arrangement with Death Row. Again, I don't know. Maybe they were upset with how Suge Knight handled it. I'm not sure, right? But when Biggie died, Diddy gained a lot. He gained a lot of money on top of everything.
He dropped the album.
He gained sympathy. He had his new debut album. He had that tribute to Biggie. He has all of this. But to this day, Diddy has denied all conspiracies and allegations. About Tupac, Diddy says, Tupac was the biggest star hip-hop has ever seen, hands down. His charisma, his personality, his whole shit. He was loved. But when it came to a situation when you're in a war with somebody and you don't even want to fight the war, like, he was the worst. I was like, why do I have to be in a war with this motherfucker right here? This motherfucker is crazy. It was unfair. Like, we ain't doing shit and we're getting accused of all this shit. We got motherfuckers making records about us, dissing us. He was later asked on The Breakfast Club, a podcast, about the situation with Tupac and how some people think he was involved. And he responds, and this whole thing is crazy. His whole demeanor changes. Throughout the interview, he's very animated with his hands, larger than life character. And then immediately when Tupac comes up, he's like a statue, like a Greek statue.
Yeah, so we don't talk about things that are nonsense. We don't even entertain nonsense, my brother. So we're not even going to go there, with all due respect. But
very little movement. In fact, he takes a pen and he keeps pressing it into the side of his face. A lot of body language experts, which you guys know I'm usually not the biggest fan of, but they state that it's a way of him releasing tension. And he tells the host, look, check this out. We don't talk about things that are nonsense. We don't even entertain nonsense. So we're not even going to go there, with all due respect. I mean, I appreciate you as a journalist for asking, but it's nonsense.
Oh my gosh.
To which the comments read, I've only ever done 1 year of psychology classes and I can tell you something's not right. Another comment reads, his mannerisms and his refusal to answer questions about Tupac's murder clearly says he's guilty. And in that same podcast, they went on a whole rant about 50 Cent potentially being gay. Which, like,
50 hates that nigga,
50 Cent will be included in the next episode. This man has hated Diddy for as long as anyone can remember. If there are no haters, 50 Cent is gone. Like, 50 Cent is Diddy's #1 hater. And they spent so long talking about it. There, at one point, Diddy's like, no, 50 loves me. And everyone's like, no, he doesn't. He does not love you. He doesn't like you. And he's like, oh, okay. Like, they spent so long talking about all this nonsense. But then now you're saying, oh, that Tupac thing, where I would, if I were innocent, I would try to claim my innocence. I suddenly don't want to talk about nonsense. I'm so serious. He also rants during his first Rolling Stone cover that he got because of the success of his tribute songs to Biggie. He says, I wanted to talk about the success that I had, the moves I made for Black culture, things like that. But this is what you want to talk about? Like Tupac and Biggie? I'm not mad at you. This is what the readers want to hear, but it's up. I've gotten my fame through tragedies. That's not pleasant for me. I'm even more popular now because of the tragedy of Biggie. Not popular in a good way. Which this seems to be a trend. About the college crush incident, he says along the lines of, it's not fair that everyone will remember me by the 9 people that died, no matter how many platinums I sold.
That's a weird...
I'll always be known for that incident.
That's a weird fucking thing to say. That's an odd thing. That's an
But
odd
did
thing
he
to
really
say.
do all of this for fame and money?
Maybe.
I mean, murder and conspiracy to commit murder are extreme crimes. I guess we'll only know if it's discussed in court. But one who allegedly knew Diddy says, that guy was all about himself. All he cares about is power and this odd, strange, deep desire to remain famous. He loves having his photo taken. He loves showing off his extravagant life. He wants to keep Diddy at the top. Being part of his company is like a circus, and he's the ringmaster. The main reason he's such a superstar is because all he thinks about is Diddy. From the minute he wakes up until the minute he goes to bed, Diddy's hobby is Diddy. One insider source says, everyone always chalked it up to him being a creative genius when it came to his obsession with controlling things, but he just really had a thing for fame, okay? They nicknamed him at Bad Boy Records Notorious VIP.
Nigga, what?
Because he always wanted to be treated like a VIP. Life After Death, Biggie's album, came out after Biggie passed. Diddy's debut album came out after Biggie passed. And it was this debate of who's going to be on Rolling Stone, according to the former bodyguard.
Diddy wanted him to be.
Everyone was saying it's got to be Biggie. It's got to be Biggie. Like, this is his legacy. This is to remember him. And allegedly, Diddy said, no, he's dead. I need to be on the cover of Rolling Stone.
Bruh.
The conspiracy now, this is a conspiracy. Nothing about this information is verified. It could have been made up by some guy in a bunker eating Pringles and drunk out of his mind.
What?
So please do your own research. I have no intention of convincing anyone. But the conspiracy that is widely available online is that, allegedly, Diddy put a hit out on Tupac. Once Tupac was gone, he realized that he is the prime target for revenge. People are pointing the finger at him and Biggie. So allegedly, he went and had Biggie killed because he knows this isn't going to stop. I mean, it's only getting more and more intense. There's no end to this. A lot of people have interpreted the conspiracy theory in a few ways, that either he planned for Biggie to get killed or he knew about it and did nothing. It does help Diddy a lot. First, the East Coast versus West Coast, it ends a little bit after this. Right. Because it's like, okay, we've lost everyone and everything. Let's we can't do this anymore. We can't keep going eye for an eye. They took someone, we took someone, it's then the truce. 2, instead of being the guy that might have been involved with a murder, he becomes the guy that lost so much. He lost his best friend. He lost so much in this rivalry.
Damn,
it's alleged that Biggie wanted to leave and take his publishing rights. This way, he likely could have held on to it for much longer. And some people actually take it far past that and say they actually connect Kim Porter's death to this Biggie conspiracy. And they say after Biggie, Diddy's stardom and the trajectory of his life completely skyrocketed.
Oh, fuck.
Because of the tribute, all of this, people saw him in a certain light. He was very marketable. And then it seemed like his prime after Ciroc, the alcohol brand, was dying down. There were new people coming onto the scene, which, I mean, he's still a billionaire. You would think that he'd be very happy. But the conspiracy theory is he still wants that fame, like some insiders say. He loves fame. He loves being the Diddy. And so after Kim's passing, perhaps it was another way to reinvent himself. Because his next album after Kim's passing, there's a lot of tributes to Kim Porter, and he changes his name to Brother Love.
So my new name is Love, a.k.a. Brother Love.
Oh, his actual name is Brother Love?
Well, he says, call me Brother Love, but he stated that he changed his government name to Sean Love Combs, but it doesn't appear so because alleged jail records show Sean John Combs.
Okay.
But people are saying perhaps he, again, a conspiracy, had something to do with Kim Porter's death because he wanted this another reinvigorated stage of his life. Because nobody was really talking about Diddy.
Yeah.
He just like existed. He's like a billionaire mogul, but no one's like, oh my gosh, new music. He is, the A-lister.
Right.
Just a conspiracy. Gene Deal alleges that he once heard Diddy say, I'm a businessman. I'm about making money, but something's got to change. I don't care if Pac got to die. I don't care if Big got to die or if Suge Knight got to go to jail.
What?
This was during the East Coast, West Coast rivalry. Another artist who knows Diddy well says, he's a bitch. Somebody had to die after Tupac died. He knew somebody was going to die. It's just the art of war. Like, they're going to take someone down.
Like, do we know who shot Biggie?
Yes, it seems to be someone that, yeah, we do, but it's like complicated. It's a whole other lore. Some people say that Suge Knight has connections to him. It's very complicated. I don't know what the investigators were doing on both these cases. It's unlikely that they were doing their jobs, but what I do know is allegedly Keefe D took a deal in 2009 in LA. Keefe D is the one that was arrested last year for Tupac's murder.
Okay.
He was arrested 2009 in Los Angeles on a massive narcotics charge, trafficking a lot of drugs. And so he more or less went into an agreement where he said that he would tell the police a lot of stuff about Diddy and the Tupac murder.
I thought the killer is it Orlando?
Yes, he's the one that pulled the trigger. Keefe D was in the car. He did not pull the trigger, but he was the one that allegedly ordered the hit because he wanted to get the $1 million. Orlando is his nephew.
What?
So it seems to be like they were all in the car. Orlando had just gotten into a fight with Tupac earlier, and they knew that Diddy had a $1 million hit out on Tupac. So it wasn't even just them. He was like telling a few different people like, hey, I'll give you $1 million if you take out Tupac. So his nephew just gets into a fight with Tupac. It seems what he's trying to describe is, okay then, let's settle it. Let's get our $1 million.
And he said that.
Basically, like he just went on. He was released from his narcotics charge. Nothing happened to Diddy. Nothing happened with the Tupac case. He went life as normal, went on to documentaries, went on to podcasts, wrote a book. We must require standardized testing for microphone purchases because he's just out here
talking,
confessing to crimes.
He was just talking.
He said, we couldn't let no record company studio gangster do us like that. Had they lost their fucking rapping ass minds? Because they beat up his nephew at the casino. And he says, when conversations would come up about $1 million bounty on the heads of Suge Knight and Tupac Shakur, that was business. But after Tupac, Suge, and them Death Row jumped on my nephew Baby Lane, aka Orlando, that shit became ominously personal. The police would state Keefe D took down Keefe D. They say he put himself squarely in the middle of the conspiracy. He had acquired the gun. He had given the gun to the nephew, the shooter, and he had been present in the vehicle when they hunted down and located both Tupac and Suge Knight.
Oh, wow.
All the other direct conspirators or participants are all dead.
Damn.
The other people in the car, they're dead now. What? He is the last man standing among the individuals that conspired to kill Tupac. But now, the internet does not believe that to be true. They believe, no, there's another person still standing or laying down or bent over. I'm not too familiar with how people pass time in federal prison.
Stephanie.
And that person is Sean Diddy
Stephanie,
Combs.
come on, cuz.
So that's why like
Oh, my
Eminem
goodness.
and all of these people in the industry keep referencing to it.
Yes. And they keep saying Diddy called the hit. And it's not like these two are strangers. Diddy actually knew Keefe D since the 90s. Yeah. Allegedly, Diddy came and was like, I have a couple problems I need to be handled. Now, Keefe D, his biggest problem with all of this, though, is that he never got paid.
Bro.
Yeah.
He never got the $1 million?
No. There's a different guy, a middleman between Keefe D, I guess, and Diddy, and he allegedly got paid.
Oh,
and
shit.
did nothing to Keefe
Damn.
D. That's what Keefe D is saying.
Damn,
Are
bro.
they looking for that guy? Or did they?
No.
He's dead.
Oh.
He died in 2012. Yeah.
What the
I don't
fuck?
think that Diddy would ever go to court for Tupac's case because it's really Keefe D's word against Diddy's word. And if that guy is dead, I'm sure he paid him in cash likely. There's no proof, evidence of that cash. And with him being dead, who's to say? Diddy could say, I gave him that cash for watering my lawn, for supplying my baby oil. You know, it's like, who is to say?
Stephanie.
Who's to prove that it is connected with Keefe?
Yo. She keeps doing it. Yo.
D.
Right.
Keefe D says, if he would have just given us half the money, I would have stayed strong, meaning he wouldn't have ratted Diddy out to the cops.
I guess.
Which, side note, Keefe D would later state that that's the only reason Diddy might get away with it, because he never got paid for it. Like, he never directly paid Keefe D. So there's no connection to Diddy and Tupac, his death. He said he even went to the Hollywood Walk of Fame ceremony when Diddy got his star. And Keefe D said he went there to get his money, but there were so many cameras, so many people, he couldn't get in contact with Diddy. Prior to his arrest, Keefe D did an interview where he expresses his annoyance with how much Diddy didn't pay him. He says, you know, Gene Deal, the former bodyguard, complaining about you. I'm complaining about you. Goddamn, homie. I was on top of the world till I met your ass. Throw a dog a bone. Standing up there talking about daddy love some shit.
Bro.
Show us some love.
God damn.
Oh my gosh. What the fuck?
Brother Love, come show some love. Mr. Love, I be watching you, dude. Damn, you walk around me like I'm some shit on the grass or something. God damn, dog. Fuck. What the fuck? Throw my kids something. Throw somebody kids something. God damn. Daddy love. You ain't no love. That ain't love at all, nigga. I be seeing you doing your little pretty dance and all that, man. Show some love, homie. Come on, man. Don't be like that, brother Love. You just leave bad tastes in everybody's mouth, man. Come on, homie.
And yeah, and this is like before
is
his
going on?
2023
Oh my
arrest.
gosh.
So like imagine
This
just
is
going
a
on a
mess,
podcast and being
bro.
like, the person who hired me to murder someone did not pay me for the murder. Yeah, and the podcast host asked, do you feel like Diddy owes you? He says, yeah, I think you should look out. I'm still here. Still waiting, bro. Perhaps it's time for Diddy to pay. Jason, whose 20-year-old brother passed away during the celebrity basketball game, says, I believe in karma. He never really owned up to anything. He never told us he was sorry. Whatever is going on with him now in 2024, I guess it was meant to be. But me, I lost everything that day. I lost my big brother and I lost my best friend. Somebody who was present at the City College crowd crush said, I think his past deeds are coming back to him. I can't say I'm surprised.
But it took so freaking long.
Yes. 50 Cent, who we will talk about in the next part, he's a longtime hater. He responded to Keefe D implicating Diddy in Tupac's murder, tweeting, damn, so Pac got lined up by Brother Love. LOL, time to lawyer up. Shit might get sticky.
Who should get lawyer?
Diddy. This is before he was arrested. As for Biggie's murder, Diddy's former bodyguard said he was there when Biggie was shot. He was in the car with Diddy. He said it was traumatizing to hold Biggie in your hands as he died. And then to tell his mother what happened. He says there needs to be some accountability. It's in his humble opinion, at least, that Diddy and Bad Boy Records should be accountable for the lack of security. Because they knew what was going on at that time.
Yeah.
I see.
Regarding Tupac's death, one netizen writes, of course Keefe D isn't a hugely credible witness, but it seems like his story gains credibility every day. Another says he was obsessed with Pac because Pac represented everything he isn't and never could be about Diddy. Regarding Biggie's death, one netizen writes, Puffy creamed off Biggie's death. He knew what he was doing sending him to LA. He became a well-known rapper and made more money off Big after he passed.
God damn. Oh my gosh.
Another comment reads, and then after his death, Puffy made a shit ton of money off tribute songs for Biggie, like I'll Be Missing You, pretending to be Biggie's best friend when he was behind this murder. That's beyond evil. R.I.P. Biggie, you were too young and you deserve better. Another just comments about how much new stuff is coming out about Diddy, and they write, I wouldn't be surprised if Diddy was revealed to be the Zodiac killer at this point, the Zodiac. Others think this is actually way bigger than Diddy, that the people at the top have sent Diddy to be taken for the slaughter. They write, who did Diddy fuck with to be clapped with all of this now? Like everyone has known this stuff for decades, but within 6 months, his life is basically over.
Hell yeah.
They're saying like the Tupac stuff, it was not a hidden secret.
Yeah.
The comments on the song I'll Be Missing You, the tribute song to Biggie, the comments now read, every breath Diddy takes, every move Diddy makes, every single day, every time he prays, the guards will be watching you. Another reads, making a song for the guy you killed, such a spineless animal. Or, it's amazing how in the span of a year, a song with beautiful lyrics that are so powerful it can shift and morph into something dark and strange in terms of meaning. There is a lot of discourse on how this is impacting Diddy's legacy, because there is argument that Diddy did help make black culture along with rap music, hip hop. He helped make it more mainstream, and indirectly, he's likely helping a lot of black artists move forward in their careers, which is not my place to neither agree nor disagree about that discourse. Also, a lot of netizens have pointed out that a lot of his victims are black artists. Freddie P, one of his former artists, states, so he said that he had been attacked recently because people are saying, you're trying to take a black man down. And he's saying, how are people upset with me about...
what did he do?
He's been very vocal about how shady Diddy has been in the past with business. Right. And a lot of people have been saying, like, nothing has been proven in the court of law yet. Like, you're just trying to take down a black man when there's probably a lot of white men involved in this, which is very true. But Freddie P says, we're just dealing with telling our story. And it sounds so harsh coming out. It sounds like we're trying to kill a legacy. But no, bro, I'm just trying to tell my story. If it sounds harsh, then you could look at Diddy how you want to. These are his actions. I'm not asking you to look at that man harsh.
It's kind of interesting when people say you're just trying to take a black man down, where these open secrets aren't really open secrets. And also, they don't say this to these artists who literally taunt killing other black men. But, you know, it's, I guess your life only matters if you, depending on what you do for people. And I guess what you do to people doesn't fucking matter, as long as you did a lot for people in contrast, I guess. Okay.
I'm not saying judge that man. I'm not trying to make anybody look bad. I'm just telling you my truth. Is my truth offending you? To which furthers the discourse of, then why didn't they say anything before?
Because they're afraid of this nigga.
People are so tough on the internet. He's a supposed billionaire killer with connections. He threatened to blow up a dude's car and that shit happened. But sure, be tough on the internet.
Yeah,
Cassie opened up Pandora's box and now people have the courage to come out. Others have stated that Diddy being behind bars is what encouraged a lot of people to come out. Because a lot of the lawsuits now are after he's behind bars.
Yeah.
Tupac's family have hired Alex Spiro to investigate any links between Diddy and Tupac's murder. Alex Spiro is not a random lawyer. This is one of the top high-profile attorneys in Hollywood, previously repped Megan Thee Stallion, Jay-Z, Elon Musk, Alec Baldwin recently in the Rust case. And because everything comes full circle, Alex Spiro is also repping New York City Mayor Eric Adams. Eric Adams is the one that gifted Diddy the keys to the city of New York City and then took the keys away from Diddy. And then he is now facing his own corruption. I was about to say,
Wait, when was he hired by Tupac's family?
Oh my goodness.
Oh, after Keefe D came out to say Diddy hired him.
So like the last few years?
Actually, recently, in the span of a few months. So
so this whole double murder from decades ago
is unraveling.
Ongoing now.
Oh, like developing very quickly now. And Keefe D's trial is 1 month before Diddy's.
Oh shit.
Or 2 months, March.
That is crazy. Like just like you said, like everything unraveled like right now.
Yes.
Decades of crimes and
I wasn't too familiar with Diddy or any of the artists involved in this one. I think it was a little bit before my time, but I didn't even know about this college stampede, the college crush incident.
That shit came up very recently.
That would follow someone forever because it's pretty bad. But regardless, Tupac's brother even did an interview recently where he states decades ago when his brother was killed, Diddy had called him and he says, he basically said he had nothing to do with my brother's murder. I told him the truth has still yet to come out, so we're going to see. Here we are 28 years later.
Fuck.
It looks like there's some doubt in that statement.
Fuck.
It does not appear that Biggie's family have hired an attorney to look into his death, but his mom did comment on the video of Diddy beating Cassie, and she says, I'm sick to my stomach. I'm praying for Cassie and I'm praying for his mother. I don't want to believe the things I've heard, but I've seen the hotel video. I pray that he apologizes to her. I hope that I can see Sean one day, and the only thing I want to do is slap the daylights out of him. And you can quote me on that. And she has stated about Diddy's relationship with her son Biggie. I believe Sean loved my son after he was dead.
You're kidding me.
Yeah.
Wow.
This nigga mom said that shit.
Finally, karma is catching up to him.
This music.
Decades and decades.
And like what you said, Tupac once said in an interview, I believe in karma. I believe that everything you do bad comes back to you.
Yeah.
And maybe it's time.
Shit.
And that is part 3 of the Diddy case. I will see you in the last and final installment in a few days for part 4.
Sunday.
Please be safe, and I'll see you in the next one.
All right, y'all. I'm not gonna lie, bro. Like I said, I believe in karma too, and we're about to see what's about to happen. But like, the fact this dude was able to get, like, I'm trying to still wrap my head around how he was able to get around this type of shit, and it's crazy, but you know what, the bad things you've done is gonna come back to you, bro. And it's fucked up. Like, it's fucked up what a want for power can lead you to do. And niggas just wear that jacket. Like, it's like, fuck. What do you guys think? I know I said a lot in this video, and please fact check me if I said BS. You know what I'm saying? But like, what do y'all think? I mean, what's going on before we get to this last one, just the fucking list? But what do you guys think? Please let me know. And I hope to get done with this series so we can go back to our other videos. This is still fucking crazy, bro. Please take care of yourselves and have a good day.